that's why it's really important to have a plan and understand what your goals are.
In fact, my camel out there is suffering right now with a broken back.
So I actually found Pepe when it was only a couple of hours old, and I'm like, oh, this is a funny meme.
Oh my god.
Yo! Who is this degen?
The old man is swing trading over years at a time. And it's like, that's where the real money is made.
The answer is a permanent loss. With single-sided staking, you don't have to worry about impermanent loss.
But really, at the end of the day, it's just the matter of a macro market. It's just what happens.
If you're aware, if you're disciplined, you can hone that into further financial growth.
Financial freedom, so we can actually live life and not have to be constantly living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, more or less, right?
Ladies, gentlemen, and D-gentlemen of all ages, happy Friday, and welcome back to Book Club here on the DGen Roundtable. I'm your host for the evening, Zenith, and tonight we're talking about Hijacking Bitcoin by Roger Ver. Excellent book, good history of the entirety of all the politics and ongoings of the coding world, and the miners and validators and nodes and social media managers, and how all of that really does raise a question about how decentralized is Bitcoin. But we'll talk about that more later. Tonight, I'm joined by an excellent cast of characters. We have my co-host, Mr. Will Stevenson. How you doing, buddy?
Bro, life is good. I'm over here in Cedar Hill, just south of Dallas, Texas, and we just started doing a stack job, and we've got the crane up on the tower. It's literally right over there, about 500 yards away. You guys can't see it because I'm in a Connex right now, but life is good. It turns out I'm working 12-hour days, 7 days a week, so I'm just going to be busy as hell for the very near future, probably the next month and a half, 2 months. And I'm just going to be making a boatload of money and buying up these lows, and it's going to be super awesome. So I'm super stoked, super pumped, ready to fucking get after it. I'm still dirty from the day's work. I'm still wearing my fucking work gloves and shit. So let's fucking go. Let's talk about some Bitcoin and talk about how it got hijacked away by a couple cool developers and things. I see we're also joined by our special guest, Dr. Alan Chen. Yo, Dr. Alan Chen, what's up, bro? What's new and exciting with you? How you doing?
It's been a very, very interesting week. Monday was my influencer day, so I think I filmed 3 podcasts that whole day. One of them was a live stream with your very own Agent J. That was actually a really fun stream and pretty successful on its very first run. And so if you guys haven't watched that, go on to my channel at Your Health Unplugged. It's there. We talked about workout fads. That was a nice fun stream, but also we did a lot of reminiscing because AJ and I are similar age, and we grew up with the same workouts, particularly P90X, which, by the way, I didn't realize his Twitter handle was P90 Hex. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
There you go.
I had a blonde moment. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, I put 2 and 2 together. That's why you wanted to talk about P90X. I was like, oh, well, no shit, Sherlock. Anyway, and then Wednesday I went to, so I did some actual casino gambling in Louisiana, and I learned that Louisianans can't do basic math. So, gentlemen, what is 35 times 5?
700? No, it's not 700. It's
185 or no, 180.
Oh, close.
What's half of 35? Half of 30
Right, so
is
the Asian way to
call it 40, go to 200, minus 20.
Yeah. No. So the Asian way to do it is 30 times 5 is what?
30 times 5, 150.
Oh, no, 150.
5 times 5 is
25. Oh, 175?
175.
175.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Okay.
fucked that up bad.
Apparently in Louisiana it's 250. So they were messing up all the dollar
What?
amounts, which, yeah, they said that. I mean, they gave me $250. I was like, okay, fine. Okay. On a 35 to 1 bet, I was like, okay, fine. I didn't say anything. I'm pretty sure I walked away with $120 more than I should have. We'll put it that way. About something like that. Yeah.
What game were you playing?
Craps. Craps is a very chaotic
boy.
game. Yeah. Yeah, Craps is an incredibly chaotic game, so I understand it's very stressful if you're not used to it. Again, there's all sorts of 7 to 6s, 7 to 5 bets, and I'm like, but still, I don't know. Usually casinos would fire people over this. It's pretty bad. So, and it went, albeit it went both ways. I mean, it went against me as well, but I had to correct them. So I mean, because I'm paying attention at least. So you know that's you have to look at it both ways. I mean, you can't assume that the casino is always correct either. So yeah,
35 to
it
1
was
bet.
very
What'd you hit? Like snake eyes or something?
it was
like a single bet?
the smalls.
Oh, the
So
smalls.
all the talls and the smalls. So I hit the smalls. We were 12 away from the alls.
Oh.
I was so pissed. That would have been like about 200 bucks. I think that would have been like 1,300 bucks right then on that hit. But yeah, fucking A.
Goddamn.
Craps is a fun game, by the way. It's like a very cordial, like everybody, including the dealers and the pit bosses, want to see you win because it's just one of those fun games. So that would be a game that I'd play. And you don't have to play any of the special sucker bets in the center. Just play pass line, you'll be fine. But anyway, that's my week. Yeah.
You're in good company here. A lot of the D-Gens, the Moon Gang, crypto folks in general, we do like doing a little bit of gambling every time we go to Vegas. And I got to say, I think craps is by far everyone's favorite game. Nice.
And if you want to learn crap strategies, I got a bunch that I do really, really well with. Maybe we'll do a demo on that.
Are you a dice setter?
Felt in my house. No, I just fucking send it.
Fair enough.
As long as it's not on 7, it's fine. But then I just send it. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. Our buddy Boogie, he's a big dice setter, big fan of dice control, trying to get that perfect toss every time for consistency. And I'm like,
the fact that you have to hit a wall though, so it fucks everything up. So I don't care. Like, it just send it. I don't deal with all that rigmarole. Just send it. Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Anyway, I'm here in Northwest US right now, seeing my family. So I'm in it's right now 5:00 and it's kind of chilly out. So it's a little different weather than Dallas, but yeah, just enjoying myself a little bit, getting a little bit of relaxation, I guess, getting some just minor shit done, and yeah, some family time on Father's Day weekend coming up, guys. So Excellent. Say hi to your fathers.
That it is.
Yes. Remember to say hi to your fathers, folks. Zenith, do you mind if I steal the spotlight here for a moment for a quick housekeeping item?
Please do.
Before we go live with the show. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look down at this scrolling Chiron, down at the bottom of the screen, it says type #ShrimpTech for the chance to win free DGen Roundtable stickers, right? So we've got some free DGen Roundtable stickers. I've got 250 of these bad boys that I got to give away. So type in #ShrimpTech and you will receive a ShrimpTech DGen Roundtable sticker in the mail if you send me a mailing address. By the way, Hex Glenn and everyone else that typed ShrimpTech in the chat's last stream, y'all still need to send me whatever email addresses, or not email addresses, but like real life addresses you have. But I've also got this fancy. Oh, damn it! If I hold it up to the light, you guys can see. Fuck, it glows through. Well, I guess I'll fucking show you. I've got some extra fancy schmancy stickers over here. Some other ones that I'm going to hold away from the light that I'm not going to show you. So that way, like, there's other cool stickers here. I've got like 7 or 8 options here of like backup stickers. So not only am I going to send you guys one of these free DGen Roundtable stickers, but I'm also going to send you a fancy schmancy sticker as well if you guys win the StreamYard giveaway. So go ahead and type in #ShrimpTech. Let me go ahead and share my screen and show you guys what I'm talking about. If you guys see this right here, we've got #ShrimpTech right big clear on the screen. If y'all want to get some free DGen Roundtable stickers, then type that into the comments. Right now we have 0 entries, so I will go ahead and be the first for the DGen Roundtable, and I will type in #ShrimpTech, and that will make, oh damn it, I spelled it wrong. Well, I forgot to you guys get the idea, right? You guys get the idea.
Disqualified.
I'm a little bit drunk right now, so like we're figuring out and we're going. But the point is, type in #ShrimpTech and you will have the chance to win some of these awesome fancy stickers. I will show you one more kind. I only have one of these. Oh wow, it's a green. It's a green dollar, so you guys can see it. The green screen makes it turn invisible. So yeah, type in #ShrimpTech and you guys will have the chance to win some fantastic DGen Roundtable stickers. Here's another example of the fancy magical stickers that you guys could win. I'm showing you the back of it because I want to keep it a secret and I don't want anyone to know these fancy schmancy stickers you could win. Here's another one that I showed folks inside the green room. By the way, if you guys ever hop on stream with us, then you get to see what these fancy stickers are before the rest of the folks at home do. So type in ShrimpTech, hang out with us, smash that like button. Look at that. We've already got 3 entries right there. So we've got Mr. Slide 180. We've got Your Health Unplug. I typed it in wrong, and Mr. Amber Simon typed it correctly. Speaking of Zenith, there's a special portion of the show that we normally do for this time around. Do you want to go ahead and tell us what we've got coming up?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the evening where we say hello to you, the people. That's right, Will. Take it away.
It's time for chat motherfucking shoutouts. So I'm the producer tonight, so y'all are just gonna have to bear with me as I go through things. So let's go ahead and rock and roll through these. So Zenith, I'll just click them and you read them and do your commentary. Here we go.
That works, sir. First up, Amber Simone saying hello. Good to see you as always. Thanks for stopping by on a beautiful Friday. Our brother Slide 180 with the cheers. Cheers to you, sir. I'm doing the old reliable. Got the silver bullet going on tonight.
Oh shit, I'm clicking. Fuck. Here we go.
Got after two of them, huh?
Yeah. Fucking
Dr. Alan Chan is trying to get some stickers himself with the shrimp tech.
Yep. Actually, yeah. Everyone else is just typing in hashtag. Yeah, there's my
Trying
spelling
to steal
error
from
there.
everybody else.
Yeah, so we're joined.
All mine.
We're joined by Mr. Slide 180 and Miss Amber Simon, and then obviously, you know, us. We're over here doing all this stuff. So fucking come on in, folks. Hang out, type in hashtag shrimp tech, and then at some point during the show I will spin this magical giveaway wheel, and then I will fill up some envelopes. Actually, fuck, I'm all out of envelopes. I gotta go buy more envelopes, but then I'll mail these shrimp tech stickers out to you, or maybe even deliver them by hand. So that's what we've got going on, and that concludes our chat shoutouts, Mr. Host. So, ooh, just kidding. We've got one more. Here you go, Zenith.
Mr. Marcus 72 sliding in here says, "What up, all? Good to see you, sir. Good to see you. I hope it's not AI because we're not AI just yet. We've not lost our jobs just yet.
Nah, bro, we're totally AI. We're totally AI. I'm not real. Alan's not real. Zenith is not real. And the only way that you know that is because you've never seen us in real life before. So as far as you're concerned,
that's true.
We're all a bunch of AI folks. But Mr. Zenith, we got a book that we've read over the past several weeks. What's oh, just kidding. We've got one more chat shout out over here.
Oh, Archie is coming in, although extra P for Will.
Jesus Christ.
Shrimp tech. There you go. He's covering for you.
Jesus.
Nice. That deserves some brownie points there.
Yep.
Oh boy,
there we go.
Boy. Make sure you get it in there properly if you want to get in the drawing. It's not up to us. It's up to the automation.
I've got some. So because I'm the producer, I can actually play some cool sounds here. So because Arceus threw that in there, we're gonna play this.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you, Arceus.
Best shrimp. Shrimp-papa.
Oh, I didn't realize there was a long one version of that.
All right. So yeah, folks, if you type in hashtag shrimp tech, then you have the opportunity. So those of you that typed it in, I will mail you stickers if you send me a fucking mail address. And those of you that don't send me a mail address, then I've still got Hex Glenn's right here. So Hex Glenn, if you're around, bro, like you can see I've put other stickers inside this envelope, but I don't have a mailing address for you. So it's literally just going to sit here in my office until I either see you in real life or you send me a fucking address. So all of you guys that are out there watching, whether you're catching us live or on the replay, if you're watching us live, you have the opportunity to win some fancy. Oh, there's a fucking spider on my stickers. Wow. I guess this is what happens when you live in a shipping container. But like you guys can get some cool ass stickers, and yeah, they're for fucking free. Like well, then it's not free for me because I go and buy the stamps to send it to you, but like it's super duper fucking cheap. So anyways, come type in hashtag shrimp tech, and you guys can get some cool ass stickers. And then Mr. Marcus, I love you, broski, but look right here down at the scrolling. It's shrimp tech. You gotta type shrimp tech, hashtag shrimp tech. I love you, bro. We got to figure out how Black Sheep trained all his audience members to do the hashtags correctly and things. But anyways, that's all I've got on that.
The man's been streaming for close to 1,500 days. He might actually be closer to 16 now.
Yeah, like he shout out to that man. Shout out to Black Sheep out there. I know you streamed before. There you go, Mr. Marcus. There you go. Hashtag shrimp tech. Very good. So now we've got 4 entries in the drawing pool. By the way, guys, if you guys in order to get these stickers, I have to send them to you. So you have to give me some sort of address, whether it's like an anonymous PO box or you give me the address of like your gay lovers, or you give me your mom's house, or you give me your house, or you send it to your neighbor. I don't care, but there needs to be an address for me to send it to. So just go to t.me/Will Stevenson. I'll go ahead and drop that in the comments here in a second. And send me an address. Any address will do. I don't care what it is. You can send me 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C., and I will send these stickers to the White House, and that's where they will go. So I don't care what address you give to me, but if you guys oh goodness, I don't have it on a copy paste, do I? Good golly. Anyways, I will put in the live stream when Zenith starts talking. I'll put in the live stream my my Telegram handle, and you guys can send me an address there. And anyone who types in Shrimp Tech, you guys definitely get a sticker, and whoever wins gets extra stickers that are bonus. So like these surprise stickers that I definitely didn't show you. So there you guys go. Mr. Zenith, please take it away from me before I fill up all of our airtime talking about fucking stickers and giveaways and things.
I will. We got one more though. Very important person.
Mm-hmm.
Not that. There you go. Tam Tam says hello, my lovelies. Good to see you, Tam Tam. Pleasure as always. All right. With that being said, let's get into it. So we're covering a book by Roger Ver. You may have heard this name before. He's a bit of an entrepreneur in the tech space and crypto space for a hot minute now. So let's see. He's a serial tech entrepreneur turned cryptocurrency evangelist, best known as one of the world's first and most prominent Bitcoin investors, earning the nickname Bitcoin Jesus. After founding MemoryDealers.com in 1999 and AgileStar.com in 2005, he discovered Bitcoin in 2011, integrating it into his business and investing it in early projects like Blockchain.com, BitPay, Ripple, and Kraken. A fervent advocate for peer-to-peer cash, he later became a key figure in the Bitcoin Cash split epidemic, positioning BCH as the true realization of Satoshi's original version. Roger Ver renounced his U.S. citizenship in 2014 to become a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis, reflecting his libertarian ideals. A polarizing figure, he's also faced legal troubles, including a 2002 conviction for selling unlicensed explosives and a recent tax evasion charge related to large Bitcoin sales. Thank you, ChatGPT, for that weird extra line there. But anyways, yes, Roger Ver, longtime figure in the cryptocurrency space, big Bitcoiner. And as we're going to talk about it today, there have been some splits inside of the Bitcoin community. He has been there for all of them, and he leverages his knowledge of that stuff to write this book. By the way, this book, Hijacking Bitcoin, is a provocative account of how Bitcoin, originally envisioned as peer-to-peer electronic cash, was, according to Roger Ver, gradually taken over by a small group of developers and influencers who transformed it into a digital store of value with limited on-chain utility. The book traces the history of Bitcoin's early promise, the ideological and technical battles of the block size war, and eventually the hard fork that birthed Bitcoin Cash. Roger Ver argues that censorship, centralized developmental control, and a departure from Satoshi's original vision led to a version of Bitcoin that prioritizes scarcity and speculation over usability and inclusion. Through this lens, he presents Bitcoin Cash as the true heir to the original Bitcoin mission. I think that's a pretty good summary there. What would you say?
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Well, we'll put the AI aside for now because we are the real flesh sacks operating the wet robots. So here we go. The book is broken down into 3 parts. First part is actually a lot of fundamentals, like Bitcoin, like nuts and bolts, teaching you how it started up, how it kind of progressed from Satoshi as the single sole developer who gave permissions to to one person. And then that guy was like, well, in order to keep with the theme of decentralization, I'm going to give these permissions to a team of people and we will all develop the code together. And people may suggest that this was the cause of all the problems. But after that, we get to part 2, where we talk about the actual utilization of the developing team in order to show some of the limitations about what's going on and the events that happen. And then finally, part 3, we get to a little bit beyond that, the next level, the actually outside influence of people who are trying to build outside projects and trying to run social media platforms dedicated to Bitcoin, and how they may or may not have used their powers for good or evil, depending on how you look at it. So that pretty much is the book. With that being said, though, let's get into a bit of the part 1, because for most of our audience, we are not Bitcoin maxis. I don't think any of us claim to be. So there are some fundamentals we do need to cover real quick. So Bitcoin launched 2009 or early 2009 in January, I believe. It was a result of, or it was inspired by the 2008 financial collapse. Pretty much banks failing and then getting bailed out by U.S. taxpayers, by the U.S. government, in detriment to them, really inspired Satoshi to get this thing going, even though it had been in the works for multiple years. Pretty much the way it works is that it operates on blockchain. What that means is that there is a distributed ledger. So Will, myself, and Dr. Alan Chen, we all have our own ledger, and people submit transactions to us. All of us verify the transaction, and then we all take our books, compare it to each other's books, and then we say, yes, the books match, we're good. And then we publish it, and everyone in the world can see that we have verified that block, that transaction, whatever it is. If there's ever a transaction that one of us does not agree with, or someone tries to do a double spend, aka try to buy something with Will and then buy something with Dr. Alan Chen in the span of like a half second in order to overcome or beat the amount of time it takes to beat the block, it will recognize, wait, we have duplicate transactions. The one that was here first, we're going to accept this one. We're going to reject the second. That is a critical component that was later overturned when they came up to the idea that transaction cost actually beats the first one in. Meaning that if you have a higher fee for your transaction, it will be registered on the blockchain instead of the one that came in first that has a lower transaction on it. This was one of the big dramas that happened in the book when people were trying to figure out which one should we go to, because again, the double spend problem was one of the issues that was eventually solved by blockchain and crypto technology. The blockchain itself is actually built upon two different keys. There are nodes and there are miners. Miners are the ones that build the blocks and they solve the cryptographic puzzle. You can kind of imagine it as it's 256-bit encryption, but another easier way to say it is that they give you a box of 256 pieces that are kind of randomly thrown together, and then you have to be the first person to figure out how it all goes together and say, I solved it, post it, and then that goes to the nodes. The nodes are the people that actually host the information of the entire blockchain. So if you're referencing what the data is on the blockchain, go to a node. If you're trying to publish new information, go to a miner. Make sense?
Yes. I have one slight clarification on the SHA-256 thing. It's
Hit me.
actually it's not 256 puzzle pieces. It's you have 2 to the 64th power. So that number is the number of zeros that you have to guess a random number. And it's not just like each individual digit isn't just 0 through 9, so like 1 to 10. It's 0 to 16. So it's 0 to 9 plus A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So like it's super fucking hard to guess this random number. So that's the thing. It's not 250 puzzle pieces. It's imagine a number with 64 zeros, or not 64 zeros behind it, but it's a big fucking number, and you have to guess the random number. And it's not just a number; it's a number plus A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So, but yeah, like absolutely right. It's a big fucking puzzle, and miners do that, and that's what strengthens the blockchain. And then nodes are the guys that say like, hey, everything is going correct, everything is good. So that's
yes. So the way that the whole metagame kind of works is that nodes are individuals that want to kind of hold the data, and then miners are the ones that chase after the rewards. So if you're the first person to get the block correct, then you are the one that receives the rewards for it. You can actually tie together with other miners in a pool and kind of like collaboratively put your computer power together. And if you do that, then the block reward is shared between everybody in the pool based on how much computing power they were offering at the time. Notably, computer technology has come a long way since 2009, meaning that the ability for people to solve blocks has become a lot easier. But at the same time, it means that the competition has only gotten harder. Additionally, there is also an integrated feature of Bitcoin called difficulty. The difficulty scales based on how long it takes to complete the previous block effectively. The goal is that they're shooting for 10-minute blocks. So the program itself actually increases difficulty if people are solving it too quick, meaning that when we see the average start to drop too low, they will increase the difficulty, making it harder to solve, requiring faster machinery, more powerful machinery, or more efficient machinery, whatever you choose to do. And if you're operating machines, guess what? You're also requiring electricity. So there is a cost associated with running a miner, but the goal is that the Bitcoin rewards should incentivize you to make that cost or spend that cost in order to reap the rewards based on whether or not you see price appreciation in the future or however you value this asset. Because as the book highlights, different groups value this very differently. All right. Last key thing we want to touch on before we get into the discussion part. So one of the things we're going to be talking about is that there is Bitcoin as the software. Software does get periodically updated, but whoever publishes the information matters. In this case, there's only a handful of certain people that have the keys to actually publish that code to the blockchain and update everybody. It's also interesting because as a miner, you don't have to update. In fact, you can actually operate on slightly different software, but you will be kicked out of the chain in what is effectively a fork. You will either be outright rejected, or it will split off into another form of Bitcoin effectively, which is the fork, which is what we're going to be talking about tonight with Bitcoin Cash. What is it? Bitcoin SA, I want to say it is. And there are a few more as well. So that being said, Bitcoin as an idea is the original idea, and then there are multiple iterations of it, and then there is consensus. So there's majority, which is 51% of people agree on something, and then there is consensus, which is closer to like 99%. It's not a fully defined term, but the point is that just like in a scientific community, consensus means that the vast majority of people agree on this thing. So those are kind of the requirements that you have to get over if you want to implement the software.
Yep.
So Zenith, do other coins function similarly to what you just stated with how Bitcoin is run?
Yeah, yes and no. It depends on who you are and the kind of software that you run. So Bitcoin is a proof of work software. What that means is it operates off the node and miner system, which is that the miners create nodes, the nodes validate or store all the data. For our audience, what we were probably more familiar with are Ethereum-based products or things that are based on proof of stake. Now that we have officially gone past the forking, the merge, whatever you want to call it for Ethereum. So now, instead of having a ETH 2.0, yes, sir. Now what happens is that instead of having to run a piece of hardware to do the cryptographic validations, these have kind of been combined into one feature called a validator. Validator operates based on you staking or on the chain, locking up a certain amount of the principal token, and you also do a little bit of the cryptographic validation as well. It's different change. We're not going to be talking about that too much tonight unless we get into the compare and contrast notes, but that is like Ethereum, Pulse Chain, a lot of other projects. There are still projects out there that use proof of work like Bitcoin. Notably, there is Ethereum proof of work or Ethereum 1.0 that is still operating on the blockchain to this day. And fun fact, if you were a person that held Ethereum during the merge event for Ethereum, you actually have a 1-to-1 copy of your Ethereum on Ethereum proof of work. But let's go ahead and take a look at the price of that, because I can guarantee you it is not the same.
You're pulling up a screen share right now?
No, I'm just going to get a number. So, gentlemen, the price of Ethereum as of right now is $2,568. What do you think the price of one Ethereum POW or proof of work is? Just take a guess.
One Ethereum proof of work?
Work?
Oh, the old Ethereum before
old
Ethereum.
500.
Oh man, like $100, I think.
$1.41.
Ah, we're close.
Two fucking orders of magnitude different. So like, this is something important to like. It we'll probably get more into this as we go further, but like, the reason that Ethereum proof of work is no longer functional is because the entirety of the Ethereum network shifted when they made the changes and they went to ETH 2.0. Yeah, there was a couple people that straggled behind and said like, yo, we like Ethereum proof of work better. And that's why ETH POW is $1 and Ethereum regular is fucking $2,500. So is that the point you were trying to highlight, Z?
Yeah, I'm saying it does exist, but things do update over time, and certain ones can become more or less valuable based on the inherent value that people associate with it, and the amount of people that are backing it, which largely is a good function of that anyways.
Yep. No.
Alrighty, gentlemen. First, main topic for tonight. Let's talk a little bit about Satoshi's original vision, and then we'll compare and contrast it to how we think about Bitcoin today, or what is largely the consensus based on the Bitcoin core group, as they call themselves. So the core tenets from Satoshi's white paper are peer-to-peer transactions. What is needed is an electronic payment system based on cryptographic proof instead of trust. Number 2, decentralization. No central authority validates or issues the currency. The network runs on a distributed set of nodes and collectively validates transactions via consensus. Number 3, double spending prevention without a central party. How do you do that with a single person dictating what is the correct spend and what is not? Number 4, we have the proof of work as a consensus mechanism. Number 5, we have incentive-based security, aka paying people to be the protectors and do all the hard work of the cryptographic security. Number 6 is limited block time and size, producing blocks every 10 minutes, and each block contains a limited number of transactions. Finite supply, total cap supply of 21 million Bitcoins. Privacy without identity. Users can transact using public keys instead of real names. Transparency and auditability. All transactions are recorded on a public ledger, enabling trustless verification and a minimal trust model where the trust lies in math code and economic incentives, not institutions or reputation.
Mhm.
Would you guys say that we've largely stuck to these core tenets as
No.
Bitcoin has evolved through the years?
Nope. Just the
Which
one
ones in
about
which ones
about
in
the math.
particular?
Well, being a cash replacement is not something that Bitcoin is. Bitcoin does not do high transaction volume. That's the main like ethos of this whole thing, is like that was the main purpose of Bitcoin when it first started out, was to be a peer-to-peer way to spend money without needing banks, without needing the Swift system, without needing credit cards. You could fucking spend your money like that, whether your money was denominated in dollars, whether it was denominated in Bitcoin, whether it was denominated in whoever the fuck cares, right? The purpose of Bitcoin was to be able to send money and transmit with other people, and that's what got everybody interested and like excited about it in the beginning. And then it slowly we'll cover it later on in the podcast, but like Bitcoin moved away from that, and it turned into a, hey, like it's a store of value. You don't spend it. You don't send it to other people. It takes fucking 10 minutes to do a transaction on the Bitcoin blockchain. You know how long it takes to swipe your fucking credit card through a machine? Fucking couple seconds. You know how long it takes to spend cash to do like a PayPal transaction? Fucking seconds, right? So like Bitcoin strayed away from its original purpose, which is what drew a lot of people like into it in the very beginning, up until like 2014 2017, in that time, like during the Bitcoin wars. So yeah, it is not what it originally set out to be. It is a totally different thing now, and for better or for worse, that is just a matter of fact. Alan, do you have any thoughts on this stuff?
Well, it's not. I wouldn't say Bitcoin is terribly decentralized either. Right now, especially with all the exchanges that most of us get our stuff from, or get a Bitcoin from. I mean, I could easily have all my transactions tracked. It's not a terribly difficult thing nowadays. So that kind of got thrown out the window too. And one thing that I forgot that is sort of something to also keep in mind with this book, and because the Bitcoin terminology can get very, very confusing. I know I've still struggled with it. But in El Salvador, for example, they once upon a time had Bitcoin as a currency. However, the government provided them wallets, so it wasn't terribly decentralized. They could still track, and they could still stop transactions from happening potentially. I mean, they didn't do it, but like they could. So anytime you have the power to do something, and you have the ability to do something, it doesn't mean that you're not going to do it if you say you don't do it. Like it's there for the taking. At some point, it's going to get corrupted. So anyway, but yeah, like and it got, interestingly enough, though, El Salvador is very, very in tune with Bitcoin for the most part, except for the folks that are kind of older in age. They're more resistant to Bitcoin than others are. But all the expats and the younger generations, they're now like fully integrated with Bitcoin, and most even the small shops in El Salvador accept Bitcoin. But the key thing that also that I had to sort out in my mind was the difference between just this Bitcoin core that we're talking about right now versus the Lightning wallets, and how those come about. I sort of get it a little bit better after reading this book, but it's still sort of nebulous as to what the differences are. But that was also an attempt to be more decentralized as well, and I don't think that was successful either. It's also like it can be slow at times and whatnot. So that's another distinction to make, because like there's so much like Bitcoin-ish stuff like being thrown around also. So who to trust with all the information can be very, very challenging at times. So I can see why, especially the folks that have had a lot of experience and they're very veteran in their lives, are very resistant to it as well, because it just can get massively confusing as well. But they talk about that a lot, though. Like who is the information source about Bitcoin? Like that's a huge deal in this whole game.
I think I would largely agree with you on the idea that the anonymous transactions or privacy without identity. I think that's one that has not really come to fruition as much, largely due to the on-ramps and off-ramps for crypto into cash or going from crypto to any sort of real-world item. And the reason being is that the governments have implemented the know your customer regulation onto the exchanges, where people largely are able to transfer money into crypto. So because of that, and because of the public ledger, you can actually track everything back to a certain degree. Granted, Bitcoin is fungible, meaning that it's the idea that there's effectively no difference between $1 and another dollar. Because if I have $2 in my wallet and I pay someone $1, it doesn't really matter which one goes there. But as long as the transfer goes there, you can still see that I paid somebody $1. So I do think that we did not realize the privacy as best as we could. I think the best ones that have really stuck up or have held their test are the double spend. There was an argument about should we do first in or highest paid, but that kind of sorted itself out eventually. The proof of work is consensus. That does work, still works to this day. I think it's a good one. Incentive-based security, I'm a big fan of that one. Paying people or rewarding them to actually validate and keep the chain secure. Finite supply, I think it's probably the biggest one, because the whole point of Bitcoin as a response to the 2008 financial crisis was the idea that the governments were playing too fast and loose with money, and the banks were involved in it too. And because you can just print money at the government level and just pay it out to whoever, the people who get paid first reap the most reward because they get access to it first, and they are able to kind of beat out the effects of inflation that just happened by printing all that money. So the fact that they've still stuck to the 21 million makes, I think that is the golden egg here. That is the one where, honestly, if that one goes away, I think that could potentially be kind of the canary in the coal mine for the downfall of Bitcoin. Yep. But yeah, outside of that, I go for it, Will.
I was going to say, you had mentioned that the people closest to the money get the money first, and I wanted to like delve into that a little bit deeper. So like finish your thought, but I want to like explore that a little bit.
No, that was pretty much it for me.
So oh, excuse me. So the so that is called the Cantillon effect. For the folks at home who are aware of this or not aware of this, this is basically like the people that are closest to the gold mines get the gold first, and they get to spend the gold first before everyone else realizes that now there's more gold circulating in the economy. So like replace the word gold with any sort of money, right? The Cantillon effect, and this is from AI Overview. Thank you, AI. Describes how new money entering the economy disproportionately benefits those closest to the source of the money, such as central banks, financial institutions, and early adopters of government stimulus, while later recipients face higher prices and potentially diminished purchasing power. This uneven distribution of newly created money leads to a situation where some benefit from increased prices and inflated assets, while others are left with a lower standard of living due to inflation. So basically, like if you live in America, or if you live in any Western country, right, and your country receives government aid, or if you're in America and you happen to be a thing that the government spends money on, whenever the government prints money using the Federal Reserve, buying their treasuries and buying their bonds and things, then you get the money first before the rest of the economy realizes that more money has been created and is floating around, and therefore causes the price of everything else to skyrocket. So if you're Raytheon, if you're Boeing, if you're Lockheed Martin, if you're any of these other names that I'm probably hitting some sort of YouTube algorithm right now that will put me on some list somewhere. But if you're part of the industrial war machine, if you're part of big oil, if you're part of something having to do with large trade, things of that nature, or you're a government contractor, then congratulations, you're getting the money first before the rest of the economy realizes that there's more money circulating everywhere. So what happens is these guys get the money, they start buying valuable assets. Those assets disappear from the marketplace. That causes the prices of those assets to go up. So what happens when the government prints money? The price of Bitcoin goes up. The price of houses go up. The price of gas goes up. The price of bread goes up. The price of eggs go up. All of these things that are valuable, whether it's a commodity, an item that gets consumed and like destroyed, or whether it's a not necessarily a security, but like a yield bearing asset or a thing that's valuable that there's not a whole lot of, like diamonds, gold, houses, something of the other. Those things go up because people that get the money first are like, oh, I've got this money now, time to spend it on something, because I know that the value of the dollar is going down because they're just going to keep printing more and more and more dollars. So like that's just a real quick description of the Cantillon effect, and the people that are closest to the money printers are the ones that benefit the most. So like that's all that I wanted to say on that, Z.
No, this is a very important principle that I think is kind of like largely misunderstood. I guess to give you like the most simple explanation I possibly can, it's almost like imagine that you live in a town and everybody in the town is pretty much on the same pay schedule. But imagine that you get paid like a day or two ahead of everybody else. So you can take your money and go to the grocery store and buy bread before anyone else can. And because we live in a capital economy, prices and supply are signals to that economy, meaning that if you and a handful of other people are able to buy what you want before other people, greatly diminishing the supply, it tells the seller that, hey, this thing is in high demand. Therefore, in order to make sure we don't sell out too fast, we should probably increase price a little bit. But because you got paid first, it means that you have access to this and you didn't have to deal with those signals that got sent down to the rest of the economy. So if your neighbor who got paid a week after you wants to go buy bread at the store, he can try to buy bread, but he's going to run into one of two issues. There either is not enough bread or not as much, or in order to combat the incoming price signals, it's now higher priced. And now you are feeling the effects of inflation from that money entering first.
Yep. I've got one more analogy that I want to throw into there, and it's the pirate island analogy, right? So imagine there's an island where all the pirates go to spend their money after they go out and about and do their pirating stuff, and they collect all these goodies, and they've got all this money, and they go back to their secret island where there's only so many resources, there's only so many bottles of rum, there's only so many cannonballs, there's only so many women for, doing ladies of the night things, right? The pirates go to this magical special island, and each one of them's got a big fat sack of gold in their pocket, right? And they go to this island. There's only so many bottles of rum. They start buying the bottles of rum off the shelf, right? So now the bottles of rum are becoming a more scarce resource, and the pirates that have all this gold are introducing a shit ton of money into the circulating tiny little self-sustaining ecosystem, right? So everyone else that's not a pirate with a big ass stack of gold, they can't keep up with the price of the items going up and up and up and up and up. This is kind of what happens when like Silicon Valley people from California move into like Arkansas or Washington or Texas or Arizona or other places where real estate prices are low, and they've got boatloads of money, and they start buying up all the houses, and now the locals can't afford the houses anymore. So it's just another example, the pirate island analogy. So something for you guys to consider. Alan, it looks like you have a thought there. You care to weigh in?
Yeah, just a simple concept here. Time is a money multiplier.
Yes,
that's
sir.
a big one. Yeah, I mean, this is a great example of that. I mean, not only, there's a price of also indecision as well. I mean, I'm not applying it to this particular scenario, but just in our decisions in life, indecision can cost us time and energy, and that could be a multiplier by a fraction instead of a number greater than one. So yeah, I mean that's a big piece that people forget. Like, we always like to talk about the numbers on the screen, right? It's like, oh, I'm a multimillionaire, how many figures, blah, 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 whatever, I don't care. How you use your time is, and this is I think your guys' outro too. It's like how you use your time is so freaking important, and if you can really maximize that to the fullest, yeah, I mean, the money will come with it. You won't realize it right away, but you have to let it cook a little bit. But this is a great example as to why or how it could happen.
Yeah, the key thing we're talking about here is that you can put more money in the system, but the underlying issue is that there's a finite amount of resources inside the system that money buys up. So yeah, if your paycheck is going up exponentially, but the amount of stuff that you can buy with that paycheck stays the same, that's inflation. That's what's going on there.
Yep.
Yeah, and inflation is definitely a function of time that we don't realize. Yeah.
That it is. All right, gents. I want to go back to a point that Will made earlier, and I think it's one of the core cruxes of the book, which is that the original vision of Satoshi was that Bitcoin was going to be a peer-to-peer money What that entails is that you should be able to use it like money, like we do everyday money, which is fast, instant, low cost. Like because, or not because, let me say this. So that was the Satoshi model. What Roger Ver in the book eventually elaborates is what we get to kind of the sentiment that we have today in the markets, which is that Bitcoin is an ultimate store of value. It's hard to do that peer-to-peer cash system when it takes long to do transactions and the transaction fees themselves are high. You see that because Bitcoin only moves so fast. The blocks take 10 minutes to finalize. So if you want to actually have your transactions validated, it means you have to get into those blocks. If there's a limited amount of space, you're either going to have to be the first under the old system, or under the current system, you're going to have to pay more to get your transaction through. What that comes to is you get to points where the market gets really, or where the network gets really congested, and in order to make simple trades, you're paying a high fee just for that transaction cost, and it can actually get to the point where that transaction cost is actually overwhelming just the raw value of the original transaction you're trying to make. So that's kind of where we get to now, which is that people are seeing Bitcoin more as a store of gold, and you want to make large transactions with it in order to get around that issue you deal with when you make a lot of little transactions. This kind of gets into the debate that they have inside of the book, which is that there's small blocks versus big blocks, and the idea of how big is a block. As it stands, the physical size, or the digital size, of a block is about 1 megabyte. And that creates the limits on how many transactions can get in there. There's been a push to increase the size of each block, and theoretically, if you have a larger block, what that means is that you can get more transactions into the blocks, meaning more people can make transactions. That will mean that more transactions go through. The fees are also lower too. These seem like great boons to people that want to use this as a cash system. The downside, or the other side to this argument, is that if you're increasing the size of the blocks, it means you're increasing the requirements from a technical perspective about storing the data and also transmitting the data. Meaning that if the original idea of Bitcoin was that everybody should be able to run a node on their own laptop effectively with minimal hardware, it means you can't have bigger blocks, because that would kick enough people out of the actual network because they just don't have the capacity to actually make those sides of transactions. And that really is the fundamental split here. So I want to kick it over to you guys. In your opinions, which side of the house do you guys fall on in this one? Would you prefer bigger blocks or smaller blocks?
I mean, the way smaller blocks function from a real world perspective is basically how banks do their transactions. So it's not much different than fucking sending a wire, right? Yeah, so obviously I'm on team big block on that one. Cause yeah, I mean, that was the whole point, was to have small transaction fees and also speed as well. So when you don't get neither, it's like, oh, well, what the fuck am I using this for? It just doesn't make it defeats the original purpose, at least.
Yeah. I am in the camp of, like, I don't know what I'm talking about. So take everything that I say with a grain of salt. And Bitcoin currently has small blocks. Bitcoin tried to have big blocks, and the growth was stymied by, I think it was 4 or 5 people, because they didn't all say yes, right? Because there wasn't quote unquote consensus, because 4 or 5 developers did not get together and say, like, yes, we're going to change it and we have the power to change it. The entire chain was held up by, or the entire progress of the chain, of the idea, of the token, of the utilization, whatever the hell, was held up by 5 people. And I don't terribly like that. Like, that's something that I think is not terribly cool. So I would have liked to see more usability out of this thing. I would like it to do more of the stuff that it was originally intended to do, because I've tried to pay for stuff with Bitcoin before. And you know what I do? I use the Lightning Network. I don't use the Bitcoin Network whenever I'm trying to pay with Bitcoin. It's just too fucking slow. It's not useful. So, like, a couple of people held up the progress of the original vision when it first started, and it turned into something that's really cool and really great now, and people use it for a totally different thing. So it's like, the world that we live in is functional, and it keeps, things keep flowing forwards. And, like, I can only look back at this in, like, hindsight being 2020, right? So, like, I would like to see what would happen with Bitcoin, with big blocks, with mass adoption. Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, BCH and BSV, those both function relatively well. I think in the book it was saying Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, they mined a block that was like two gigabytes or something. Right now, the current block size on Bitcoin is limited to 1 megabyte, right? So when you take a picture with your phone, you've got like a 250 megabyte picture if you've got like a high quality camera, right? So like one phone picture is 250 times the size of one Bitcoin block, and it takes 10 minutes for them to mine that block. So like the amount of computing processing power did not adapt with the like the moving forward of time and the moving up of the market. And so like that's why Ethereum was created. That's why other blockchains were created, is because like Bitcoin just wasn't doing the thing that 90% of the market wanted it to do. Now it has since exploded into some craziness, which is, could be good, could be bad. I don't know. But that's where I sit, is like I would like to see where Bitcoin would have been if bigger blocks would have been created. I don't know if we would still be having this same conversation if we all would have met if Bitcoin had big blocks. You know, like I don't know if the DGen Roundtable would have ever formed, because there would probably only be one cryptocurrency. It would probably only be Bitcoin. But because they didn't adapt to the market as it was changing, that left room for other things such as Ethereum, such as Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, such as Bitcoin Cash, right? So like I like the world where it is right now. And I'm also nostalgically sad that the thing that could have happened didn't happen. So I don't know. I have kind of a split decision on whether I like it or whether I don't. But I'm curious to see what would have happened if the handful of developers would have accepted the adjustments that were being made, and that's where I stand on this matter anyways. What about you, Zenith?
I think I'm pretty close to you as well, which is that I can understand both sides of the argument. And the reason that, I mean, we even have the DGen roundtables, we're trying to be crypto investors. So the goal is to actually use the asset class for price appreciation as opposed to just day-to-day transactions. Because in my personal opinion, the current system that we have is imperfect, but it's still pretty darn good based on just the amount of time and history and technology that's been built into it. So when it comes to the block debate, I think that the big blocks make sense because technology, what's the rule? That computing processing power doubles every 18 months or something like that?
Yep.
We've shown that computer technology evolves rapidly. The fact that you're still relying on this arbitrary size limit that was set a while ago, back before it became like mainstream and very popular, it seems like a very intentional hamstringing. And I guess to give the best steelman argument I can to the small block side of the house is saying that if we start messing with this, it's going to be a slippery slope, which is that we want to go to 8 megabytes. Okay, well, how long before we get to 64 and then 256 and then a gigabyte and then even higher than that? And the original goal that I think they're trying to really attach to when it comes to that argument is the decentralization argument through not just decentralization of controls, but decentralization of who has access to be the roles in the network. Because when you have small blocks, you have the ability to run this software on very low power computers. At the same time, though, once you start going to those bigger blocks, you require higher technology and more powerful machinery to do so. Theoretically, you could get to a point where the technical requirements for massive blocks, like beyond big blocks, is so large that the average individual is really realistically unable to muster the capital required and technical proficiency as well to be able to operate that kind of machinery.
Yep.
So I can understand that. At the same time, though, I think that the big block argument makes sense, which is that you're absolutely hamstringing yourself on this one because you're not choosing to do this. And I think it's a topic for a point later in the conversation, which is that I think that from a more pessimistic side of view, I think that the pushback against the big block ideal is that people are very happy with the amount of Bitcoin that they've accrued because they got in so early, and they're trying to do a little bit of gatekeeping and just holding on to power.
Yep.
Again, to go back to me speaking as an investor, I am in this space because I want to see price appreciation. I think that crypto is, I think it's revolutionary technology. And I know it is the highest performing asset class in history. I think that is a very important thing in the current landscape about where the world is, what the financial systems look like. So I think that's valuable. Because of that, that actually leads towards that small block argument. But at the same time, I'm also able to understand that this is a competitive space. Bitcoin has a very large competitive edge because it was first in, best dressed. It was the first crypto out there. It had really, really good fundamentals, still does mostly. And I think that we see a lot of the institutions getting into it now, see a lot of money coming in. Everybody in the crypto space has been begging for mass adoption for forever, effectively. And you're finally getting it. So why would you shy away from that at this point? But I think that it's not going to be in the next year, maybe not even the next cycle or two, but there will come a point where there are enough good crypto projects out there where one of them will eventually start to challenge Bitcoin for its supremacy.
Yeah.
I don't think it's happening anytime soon personally, but that's just the way that I'm kind of reading the tea leaves here. So I think big blocks make sense as far as the current market environment. Operating on small blocks does have its advantages, but I do happen to think it's a bit of gatekeeping.
And you get into with the advent of the small blocks only, they got into the world of the fee wars, where it's like the guy who pays the biggest fee for their Bitcoin transaction is the one that gets his transaction processed. So because you can only do 2,000 to 3,000 transactions per second, like the people that pay the most to get their stuff win, which is fine from like a free market perspective. But if you're trying to get transactions through to do day-to-day business, then you're fucking stymied. If you're trying to get a $20 transaction through, the Bitcoin fee is $50, because everyone else is also trying to get their fee through, or they're also trying to get their transaction through. Then you get outbid by big players, and you're just fucking stuck in la la land, waiting for your Bitcoin transaction to go through, like when the market decides that $50 or like whatever number it is that is your threshold gets accepted. So that's something to consider as well. And also, I think that like limiting it to an arbitrary number of size, when the fact of the matter is that like, transaction speed, like you were saying, it doubles every 18 months or something. It's like it's kind of ridiculously arbitrary. It's like, the founding fathers said that like, Congress shall only be paid like $5, or like the Banking Secrecy Act of 1970 said that you can only cross the border with $10,000 of cash, otherwise you're considered a criminal. Like that same law is still in effect today. If you have more than $10,000 cash and you're trying to go through an airport, congratulations, your money's fucking taken from you, and it's held in like evidence, because it's like, oh, we think you're a criminal now because you're trying to go through the border with $10,000. What that $10,000 then is worth right now with inflation is roughly like $81,000. So like the number being locked in some sort of like codified or legalized or whatever arbitrary rule set you determine, it just kind of like you don't adapt to the times as they're moving forward, and the world is going to change with or without you. So it's a whole argument of like the tortoise versus the hare. Are you going to be fast, or are you going to change, and are like a lot of your guys going to die and you're going to adapt to scenarios, or are you just going to be like stalwart and stuck in like a super strong box and just kind of keep plugging forward, doing the same thing indefinitely until time decides you're irrelevant? Like there's a huge argument to be made there that sticking to a number for whatever the hell reason will limit capability and limit growth. And it led to what Bitcoin is today, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just like, what are you going to do when you can no longer adapt to the times, right? Like Ethereum makes adaptations. They change things. They go back. They revert the chain occasionally. They disinclude bad actor transactions and stuff. Like Ethereum is adapting to the needs of the world as it goes forward, which is why we on this podcast consider it to be one of the quote unquote blue chips in the investment world, is because like Ethereum's constantly updating. They're staying like maybe at pace for better or for worse with what the market wants. Whereas Bitcoin is just like, we're the same fucking thing. We're always going to be the same fucking thing. Just like you can count on us to do this, that, and the other thing, but we're not changing. We're not adapting to the market. So
I'll be honest. That's a selling point. I think that is a legitimate selling point. But at the same time, it's contradictory to some of the ideas that I've seen come out of the Bitcoin maxi crowd, believing that they should be the only crypto to ever exist. It's like, look, if you want to be the guy that never changes, there is value in that. But if you're doing that, understand there will be competitors or alternatives that come in and try to do something differently. And understand the ecosystem is probably going to require all of them. So that's
100%.
my pushback on the maxis on that.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, there's a market for everything. There's a market for conservative values. There's a market for liberal values. Conservative, like, do the same thing, keep doing it, it works, blah de da, continue on. There's definitive, value in that. And then there's, on the flip side of that, in the liberal sphere of like, oh no, we need to change, we need to adapt, we need to move forward, we need to do things. There's value in that as well. So, like, I think that the nuanced point of view is to appreciate both, and then fluctuate, like, am I 80-20, conservative to liberal? Am I 60-40? Am I 50-50? Am I going to switch in between? Like, I'm not going to stay at one thing at all times, because, like, sometimes it's best to be conservative, when you're in a bear market, what's the best thing? Fucking Bitcoin or dollars. When you're in a bull market, what's the best thing? Fucking altcoins, so, like, sticking to just one thing and making that just be your entire identity, or your entire thing moving forward, is going to put you at a non-competitive edge. So, like, Bitcoin is great, Ethereum's great, Bitcoin original vision is awesome, Bitcoin current thing is also awesome. So, like, there's certainly nuance to everything. So you're absolutely right in that point, Steve.
For sure. I know I tried to give the multiple arguments during my answer, but I think you hit the middle ground perfectly there. I think that I did a pretty good job of steel manning the small block argument and the big block argument. But the counterpoint to the small block argument is that, like, look, you might claim it's a slippery slope, but that kind of goes in all directions. And at the same time, you can stop it at any time through reason and logic and just temperance. You don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater by believing if we raise block size from 1 megabyte to 8 megabytes, that in 2 years it's going to be so massive that only international mega corporations and governments can compete. You got to take things one step at a time. You fight the battles that are in front of you, and you try not to worry about the later one. You don't worry about winning the later ones for sacrificing the one in front of you, because if you lose this one, you're not making it to that one. So I think you hit it right on the head there, which is like, look, a measured approach here to be adaptable and understand the needs of the system that you're building and ultimately are kind of responsible for, if you're that dev group of the Bitcoin core folks. I have to assume that most of what Roger Ver in the book is saying is true, because I don't have a counterpoint to point to as evidence. But based on the narrative that was laid out, it does seem that there's been a lack of desire to innovate and kind of move with the times as they're progressing.
Yep. Speaking of moving with the times as they're progressing, I'm going to do a real quick chat motherfucking shout outs. We've been joined by two people. Shout out to Mr. Paul Sachs. We were talking about Bitcoin earlier. Canary in the coal mine. The Bitcoin price doesn't care about the nuclear war. You're absolutely right with that. The market cares for sure, but the Bitcoin's just going to keep doing its Bitcoin thing. And then also we've been joined by Jemmy, who's talking about, I cannot be too greedy. I'm passing on the stickers today. Shout out to Jemmy. You're the only one so far, Jemmy. Actually, no. There's a couple people who have sent me addresses, so I take that back. But Jemmy was the first one to get a DGen Roundtable stickers in the mail, because she was quick to the draw, and she typed in that hashtag shrimp tag and then DM'd me an address to send it to. So shout out to Jemmy and shout out to Mr. Paul Sachs. Thank you guys for joining us too. Back to you, Zenith.
I was gonna say, Will, how many times do you want to spin the wheel tonight?
How many times do I want to spin the wheel? Well, last time I spun the wheel, I spun the wheel 2 times. So we'll spin the wheel 2 times tonight as well. We are an hour into the show.
Yeah, let's spin the wheel, brother.
Let's spin the motherfucking wheel. So, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have been typing hashtag ShrimpTech in the comments below. Right now, we have 5 entries over here for our StreamYard giveaway tool. So, what I'm going to do is, here in just a moment, I'm going to click this draw button. Let me see. Oh, goodness. I am expanding and unexpanding this thingamajigger. So here we go. If you guys have not already got your comment in, go ahead and type in hashtag ShrimpTech if you guys want to win. Well, you will definitively win a DGen Roundtable sticker if you type in hashtag ShrimpTech and send me a address to send it to you. And you will also win some of these magical, fancy schmancy secret stickers that I'm not showing on screen. And there you guys go. So go ahead and type in hashtag ShrimpTech. I need to change our background because we've got the ShrimpTech up. There we go. Generic background. So type in hashtag ShrimpTech right now if you want it. I'm going to go ahead and click that spin the wheel. It is not over here. It is, it's a whole other whole other thing. Here we go. All right, cool. All right, so I got to click draw, and then I got to play some fancy schmancy music because that's one of the things that I learned from Mr. Our good friend. Shout out to Mr. Crypto Black Sheep. So here we go. Clicking the draw button and then playing the drum rolls. Our winner today looks like it is Your Health Unplugged. Shout out Dr. Alan Chen of Your Health Unplugged. You are going to get you, sir, some DGen Roundtable stickers and some magical fancy schmancy stickers that I didn't leave any of them over at your place, but I'm going to definitely give you some fancy schmancy DGen Roundtable and other stickers as well. So shout out to Dr. Alan Chen. And because he's on the panel, we're going to spin it one more time.
Yeah, spin it again.
Here we go. Let me see. I got to click back into the thing. I got to click up here on draw again. We've got the draw.
Can I win again? Can I theoretically? Oh, no, I guess I can't.
No, I don't think so.
10, 9.
Oh, DGen Roundtable. That's me. We don't want to do that one.
I want to do bad things with you.
We're not going to.
There's going to be a conspiracy. This is all conspiracy now. It's.
Yep. We're gonna get demonetized, by the way, because I'm using so many like sound drops from other people and other things. So let's see. We're gonna play the "I Like the Way You Move" song. So here's another one. Drum roll, and let's see who is the one who wins. Amber Simon.
There we go.
There you go. We got "I Like the Way You Move" by, I don't know who the artist is, but there you fucking go. Congratulations, Amber Simon. You win again. You're going to get some more DGen Roundtable stickers. I actually have not mailed out Amber's yet, so here's Amber's. I'm going to actually take this time to put more DGen Roundtable stickers inside of Amber's envelope because that's the way that it goes. And then we're going to put some special ones in there as well. There's a special one. And here's a big special one. So Amber, you've got more stickers appearing inside of your envelope. So whenever I get this to you, whether it's by mail or if I see you at one of our IRL events or something like that, then congratulations, Amber Simon, for winning some stickers. There you go. Now, everybody who types in hashtag ShrimpTech, you guys get stickers if I know where to give you stickers. So if not, then, just like, I don't know what to tell you. If you guys don't give me your if you guys don't give me a place to send stickers to, then I just got to sit here and hold on to them. So I've got a big old list of everyone that sent me sticker things. So I'm making envelopes for you guys. Then whenever you send me your addresses, then I will go ahead and get stickers on over your way. And I will now remove that from the screen, bring us back to the normal thingamajigger, and then change our background. There it goes. Co-host. Panel. Okay, what's this one? Oh, special guest. I'm not the special guest. There's our co-host and there's our panel. So congratulations to everyone who has won some stickers. Miss Amber Simon twice in a row. And also, actually, no, you were just you were a regular contestant the other day, but now you get some special stickers because you've won the draw. So there we go, ladies and germs. Type in hashtag ShrimpTech if y'all want to be a part of the thing. Oh, we've been joined by Mr. Funkmaster Hex. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Good evening to you too, sir. Mr. Funkmaster Hex, the Trailer Park Boys Julian of the DGen Roundtable, of the Crypto, Hexaco, and everything space. So shout out to you, good sir. Make sure you guys type in hashtag ShrimpTech for the chance to win some more of these fucking fantastic, beautiful, delicious, and crunchy stickers. Everyone that types in hashtag ShrimpTech, you will get a sticker if I get your fucking address. But again, you guys got to send me your address. Otherwise, I don't know where to send it to. So there you go. Type it in again. And just like Zenith said, we're going to be doing another one of these at the end of the show. So congratulations to everyone who is winning. Make sure that you guys get your entries in there. And abso-fucking-lutely right, Mr. Funkmaster Hex. It is motherfucking Friday, broski. Good to see you. Glad that we could have you with us. So that is all I got, Mr. Zenith. Why don't you go ahead and bring us back onto course here, and let's talk about some Roger for Bitcoin books.
Will do. Alrighty, so as we talk about in the book, there's the idea that was originally posited, that is, Bitcoin is decentralized. Yes, it is decentralized in the way that it's the network validated itself, but I think that there may have been some centralization issues that arose out of how the coding team developed. So originally, we had Satoshi Nakamoto. Then he passed the keys along to one guy, and that guy decided, in order to be decentralized, I will share this with a small team of folks that I trust to help do the coding updates. That kind of came with its own problems because, as Will mentioned earlier, trying to get consensus in the group to do updates and upgrades on Bitcoin has largely been a challenge, partly due to, we talked about it earlier, the small block versus big block debate, but also ideals versus price appreciation. So I wanted to ask you guys, do you see that this is like an actual centralization concern, or is this kind of just the nature of anything? Because someone has to make it, someone has to run it, and someone has to ultimately update it, otherwise it dies.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Rephrase the question one more time. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Do you think that the distribution of the admin keys to the coding team created a new centralization problem?
Yes.
Yes.
How do you think why is this different than the decentralization that they talk about? Like, what are the challenges that we face here?
So, like, somebody's got to do it, but the fact that they were the only ones that could do something is kind of what's the word I want to use? Centralized. Like, if there's 5 people that could make the adjustment, then like there's 5 people that can make the adjustment, and it's like, okay, what's the difference between that and the Federal Reserve? There's like 12 or something people on the board on the board of the Federal Reserve that determines the monetary policy for lending money to the United States government for printing money into existence, right? So if there's 5 people on the blockchain developer core team for Bitcoin, then it's like that's 5 people who can say yes or they can say no to any sort of change that is implemented to the blockchain code. So as far as decentralization goes, it's like Bitcoin was not decentralized in the beginning. I would say it's still not decentralized today. But like it is antithetical to the thing that they wanted to do, because 90% of the market wanted Bitcoin to make a change. And a couple of developers like that I could count on my hand, right? They decided that they didn't all agree, right? Maybe 4 out of 5 agreed, and then one of them was like, nah, I don't want to. Because there was not consensus among all 5 of them, the change never happened. And so, like, basically anybody gets veto power to just keep the network the same, keep the network stagnated, keep the product not doing the thing that they necessarily want it to do. So, I think that it's centralized in a sense. It used to be super centralized, and it's still a little bit centralized now. But all of their claims to make it something, and then they went against it. And there's a lot more details in the book about how they actually like did a lot of the dirty games and like DDoSing people. And for those of you who don't know, direct denial of service, like, you know, they would attack miners that would try and run alternate versions of Bitcoin code. They would like fuck with them. They would do review bombing. They would do all sorts of terrible like behind the scenes shit. And this was like the I want to call it the Bitcoin core community, not necessarily developers that were doing this, but just people that were involved in like keeping Bitcoin the same, right? 90% of the market wanted Bitcoin to be like, hey, let's be, you know, peer-to-peer permissionless transference of money that's quick, that's fast, that's easy, that's like, you know, bada bing, bada boom, we get it fucking done. And then there started to be a whole bunch of censoring on like Reddit, where a lot of the stuff was discussed on all the forums where people would talk about like, hey, this is how Bitcoin worked. There was a whole bunch of like behind the scenes fuckery that was going on, whereas like people that dissented against what the developers were doing, they were just like, you know, all of a sudden that person's banned on this communications platform, on this place where people would talk about things, and they did a whole bunch of behind the scenes shady shit. So I would say that it was very centralized, and though they aimed to make it decentralized, they didn't. And so like this talking point that a lot of Bitcoin OGs have, or I don't want to say Bitcoin OGs, because it can be interpreted 2 ways. There's Bitcoin OGs of today, and there's Bitcoin OGs of the past that were in it from the very beginning. They were like, hey, I want to keep doing this thing that's awesome. And then it changed because people refused to make adaptations and stuff. It just got all sorts of muddled up and confusing things. Alan, you had a thought that you wanted to share. Go ahead.
I mean, there's definitely still Bitcoin, like I would call them, enthusiasts or fanboys that are out there, or girls, that are still like thinking it's like it's a gift from God kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's that too, and there was a vision, and there was a grand vision that was set forth by Satoshi himself. And, this book demonstrated that the result of apathetic leadership and how it can run amok and then turn into bad leadership as well, where where you have that void in leadership and then all of a sudden something very nefarious comes into play. That's a whole piece of this story as well, is that there were a lot of people that were on Satoshi's side and saw his vision were not terribly the most fit for leading the charge, and thus things came into play, and you have corruption. So yeah, I mean, here's another kind of a hard truth to think about, is that whenever a lot of money's on the table, there's almost always some kind of corruption, and if you don't think there is, you're not looking hard enough. So you have to. I mean, and again, like probably most of what we're talking about in the story may not be totally applicable to us, but it's just something to think about in terms of your overall strategy with your investments, and that's not specific to crypto either, but also how important diversification is in general, because anything can just go bust at any moment, and we've seen that many times for the weirdest of reasons, COVID. But yeah, it could happen. I mean, we are not immune. Nobody's immune to it. Nobody is. And you guys were mentioning the companies or things that were not able to adapt, and then they eventually die, because if you don't adapt and overcome, then you're basically you're gonna not survive. It's like natural selection. The first thing that came to my mind was Blockbuster. Like they were the ones that like didn't adapt to things coming off a video. Like we got DVDs at that point, and then they came Blu-ray, then now it came streaming. I'm not sure if there's any Blockbusters left, to be honest with you. I think it's just all now nostalgic. But
I think there's one or two.
It actually might be near. It actually might be in Portland.
Have you guys heard about that? Like the Blockbuster Airbnbs, where people like folks our age go to Blockbuster, and they spend the night there, and they can peruse all the movies in the Blockbuster, and they like play them up on a big screen. It's like a nostalgia thing. It's not like people don't go rent VHSs and DVDs anymore.
No. I don't even know if Blockbuster had DVDs. Maybe they did. But anyway,
yeah, they did. They definitely did. Guaranteed.
Yeah. But anyway,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I mean, but anyway, it's leadership in general, you have to be able to adapt in order to survive. I mean, that's another big piece to leadership as well. Unfortunately, with all these things that happened, the only way money moves is through humans, and also the way money gets corrupted and the way money falls is through humans. If there were no humans, money doesn't do shit, right? Yes. So there has to be a human component, despite this being crypto or run by code and shit like that. There is a human component to this, and that's something that we have to all recognize, is that we are very imperfect human beings, and this shit happens.
True. I do want to give a bit of a caveat on the thing that Whale talked about there, which is that I do largely agree the coding team, or the Bitcoin core coding team, are a bit of a centralization issue. But there's one kind of pressure release mechanism, which is that technically the code is open source, and it is run by the validators, or the miners and the nodes, which is that theoretically, if you had someone propose a software update, and just even without the core team, enough people adopted the code, it would become consensus and actually kind of overwrite people who are just refusing to update it at that level. That being said, I do think that this is actually a very interesting case study in libertarian ideals, and even closer to that of just power games or power struggles effectively, which is that you can make the argument about being close to Satoshi's vision and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, if you are able to make moves outside of that in order to influence enough people to do what you tell them to, or stay on your side, or not make the moves that other people are trying to make, that's where you get into it. Which is, this is where we get those interesting excerpts where people are like messaging like big miners and like a bunch of the giant pockets over in China, and they're like, yeah, we want to do the update. We just know that if we say that publicly, people are going to come after us in various certain ways, whether it's the DDoS attacks or just getting blacklisted on certain sites. And I think that even outside of that, there was this interesting metagame out inside of the community, which is that even people that were not part of the Bitcoin Core dev team played a large part in this. The person I'm referring to is the person that goes under the username Thamos, who was the creator of the R Bitcoin subreddit and also was the creator and owner of Bitcoin.org, which people largely refer to as like the main Bitcoin website. And during that time, he was a small block. He was a small block proponent in a big way, meaning that he understood the amount of power that he had based on being able to control these two channels of communications, which largely they were some of the biggest points of influence inside of the entire space. And he leveraged them very effectively to try to get his messages across and not allow anything else that was contrary to it, namely the big block ideology. Notably, he was the main moderator on the subreddit, deleted posts and removed other moderators who were not along with the same vision. And at the same time, actually went as far as to blacklist people on the main Bitcoin.org website, of saying that these are people that are going against true Bitcoin, or they're not the real Bitcoiners, and we're the real Bitcoiners, and anyone we put on this blacklist is evil. Even just removing the morality component about like being right about being close to Satoshi's vision, this really was a case study of how people will wield the influence and power that they have to promote their ideals. At the end of the day, what is Bitcoin is not going to be the thing that is closest to Satoshi's vision. It's going to be the thing that generates the most consensus at any given moment. And up to this point, and what we saw largely, what they dubbed the civil wars of 2014 to 2017, what we saw was that there were enough people that were able to hold a coalition and whip enough people into shape to stick with the coalition to keep their core consensus concrete throughout the entire thing.
And I don't like how they used the word consensus, because they were literally like stifling all opposition. It's like, if you called Nazi Germany consensus, and it's like, yes, all those people that had different views and different opinions, like, where did they go? Or better yet, communist Russia, that communist Russia had a lot of consensus, right? Did they actually have consensus, or did they send people to the gulag that disagreed with the things that they said? So like that's the whole consensus argument. It wasn't consensus by merit. It was consensus by people who had authority, literally taking their axe and fucking chopping the heads off of the people that disagreed with them. And like the famous guy, eliminating people that disagreed with the thing that they decided was instead of allowing free discourse, freedom of speech, freedom of people to like talk about the things that they thought was correct, they just started stifling all dissent. And like at that point is when the hypocrisy of all of the oh yeah, we're decentralized, we do all these things. He's like, no, bro, you literally like swung the axe down and chopped the heads off of the people that were against you, or like that had different ideas, not even necessarily against you, but just the people that had like, like, hey, let's talk about it, let's talk about these problems that you're having, let's try and address solutions. Like there's a point for an authority figure to remove spam figures and like and try and keep like a high signal to noise ratio. And then there's a point where it's like, oh, you have good signal, but your signal is in opposition to this thing that I like, so fucking snip, 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 you're no longer a part of the picture anymore. Like that's where they start getting hypocritical. And this whole consensus thing is like, it was a small group of people that were wielding the banhammer, that were wielding the sword. And like, I'm not going to pretend that I'm any better than them, right? In the DGen Roundtable, there's like 10 or 11 of us that are admins in the Telegram. And it's like, if we see people that are, like posting Solana meme coins and things, and it's like, oh, you get instant banned or whatever. But like we allow free discourse and we let people talk about ideas and let conversations flow. And then when folks start getting into like, emotional screaming matches, then we start stepping in. It's like, okay, maybe you need a timeout, maybe you need to be muted, maybe we need to put you in a bad kid box for a little bit or something like that. But like in the Bitcoin forums and the Bitcoin Reddits and in the community and on the website, they were literally just stifling all disagreement, and they weren't allowing like free discourse and things like that. So I think that there's a little bit of a difference there, and definitely some nuance that needs to be considered.
It's true. By the way, Arceus has a good comment here.
Yep.
Consensus by coercion. Yes, and that's absolutely right. And it's effective, Like if you take all the people that are against you and you put them to the guillotine, then congratulations, you have consensus. Right.
Woo!
So, absolutely right, Arceus.
And don't be privy to the fact that this is not the only space that this can happen.
Yes.
It happens in a lot of places. And
does it happen in medicine, Alan?
Yes.
Yeah.
There you may not know of is for those of you who know me well, I used to be in the education space, the public education space. Oh, that's awful. It's pretty disgusting. Like the people would want to get their agendas put forward at the expense of kids. That's where I had my, like, I wouldn't say red pill moment. I would say that's when I had my like epiphany that people can be really shitty in general, especially when it comes to like being right. The need to be right. It's bad. But yeah, this is I like that the book sort of exemplifies like how and it's not just specific to Bitcoin either. It's just how it relates to the rest of how society works, especially nowadays, and how things can just get out of control. And this is just a microcosm of that situation, and that could happen pretty much anywhere.
Alan, correct me where I'm using the terminology wrong here, but I want to say that there was a big issue that came out in the last decade when it came to getting published in, I don't know if it was medical journals, but there's like specific journals for like higher education and professionalism, where if you get your articles and your research published, that's like a huge stepping stone. Yes. But the threshold to get published is that you just have to get chosen by the people that control the journals. And there was a big issue. There you go. Peer reviewed journals. Thank you. That's what we're talking about here. There was a big issue where there was a large amount of political agenda that was being driven through this about what articles get accepted and what get rejected. And I want to say, I'm forgetting his name right now, but there was a guy who he and his buddy started publishing under different pseudonyms, trying to, at first they were just trying to publish their stuff, and it was just constantly getting rejected because it was being disagreed with because they thought it was going against the agenda at the time. And what they started doing, they were like, all right, we'll tell you what, let's see how far we can push this in the other direction. Let's see how much just nonsense we can make up that we think will agree with these people's political objectives and see what they publish. And I think like one of the culminating articles that got published was a guy wrote an article about how owners of dogs at dog parks are a reinforcement of like patriarchal and sexual societal norms and stuff. And the guy was, it got published. And then afterwards, the guy came out publicly who was like, I made up all of this. None of this is rooted in anything, and you people ate it up.
Yeah, hold on. What was it about again?
It was about dog sexuality.
Yeah, dog sexuality at owner enforced sexuality of dogs at dog parks, I think.
At dog parks?
Yeah, and how they were enforcing their visions of sexuality onto the animals. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yes. Okay. So from the New York Times. All right. You guys want to take a stroll down screen sharing lane here, because I've got I've got the article.
You have the article. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me minimize my screen here so it's an appropriate size. Oh, look at that. Create a free account or log in.
Oh, lame. New York Times.
Damn it, New York Times.
Thanks, New York.
Wait, do you have the okay, if you can look up the PMID, then I can find it.
Ooh.
Or actually, give me the title of the article real quick.
Control Shift T. Oh, wrong one.
But I would, while you're doing that though, I will say yes, that does happen. And I actually did a couple of those articles on my channel of like how awful science gets pushed and it also becomes guidelines. And that's the scariest thing ever, because like it's not science anymore, right? and
Yeah.
it just gets it gets all fuddled, and that's why we have so much confusion in the science world nowadays, where it's just like what's actually good science these days. We don't really know. It's basically whatever whatever the powers that may be want to push out there, essentially. And again, this is a microcosm. Bitcoin, hijacking Bitcoin is a microcosm of this shit happening in other places. And you hit the nail on the head on that one. Yeah, absolutely. That does absolutely happen, and we have to be extra vigilant on when that does happen.
The reason I bring this up is that
yeah.
The reason I bring it up is that I think that this is an analogy to what happened inside of the Bitcoin world here, which is that when you have people who decree themselves as the experts or the authoritative source, it becomes less about appealing to a broader public or trying to bring light to truth or do good research and provide data and facts. It's more of just appealing to the authority, and the authority has no responsibility to adhere to any standard because ultimately they do control all power, and you can choose to wield it however which way you want to. At that point, you do become subject to public opinion. And I think that the medical journals and stuff here is an example of how it's another real world example of how you can let things go way too far and you're just appealing to authority instead of appealing to reason or logic or any sort of like defensible idea.
All right. So I got the actual title of the real article. If anybody wants to look it up.
James Lindsay was a part of this from
that's who it was. Yeah.
Yeah. There he goes. Yeah.
James Lindsay and Peter Boghossian.
Yes. So anyway, the real article, if you everything, maybe I'll look it up on my channel, but human reactions to rape culture and queer performativity at urban dog parks in Portland, or of course it has to be Portland, Oregon. and I'm here, and I'm in the belly of the beast right now. I'm in Portland right now. So, it was published in 2018 under pseudonym Helen Wilson. Perfect. That's awesome. I gotta look at that article later on after the stream.
Yeah.
But anyway, you should look and see like how good the data actually is. Yeah.
It was all a big fucking joke, and they talked about it on Joe Rogan too. Like I remember this when this was a Rogan article. It's like, hey, look at this bullshit that I got published, and I think it was James Lindsay that was on the show.
It was, yeah. I think
it was either him or Peter Boghossian. But it's like, yeah, look at this. We've made a satirical broadside of feminist theory and race studies scholarship in order to prove that these fields are academically fraudulent, right? And it's basically like it was just it's fucking. James Lindsay, it's racist and sexist to know these things. If you can predict that they want to hear, then you can exaggerate that, feed it into their system, and let them reduce themselves to absurdity by getting them to accept their exaggerated character view as if it's their own. So like they did this whole fucking hoax thing, talking about how like, dog on dog sexual assault is a big fucking problem and feminism and gay culture. And it was just like, so this is from A Mode of Passion in Normandale Park. So I don't know, maybe YouTube will cancel us for that one. But like, it was a big fucking farce. Is the point, And
this is why I get really pissed off when commenters say, "Oh, he's not a doctor," or like talk about RFK for example. He's not a doctor. He's not a medical professional. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, this is the shit that you get from real doctors. This is the shit that you get from PhDs these days. Like. To me, you all refer to me as Alan. I don't make you call Dr. Chen unless I'm in front of actual patients, right?
Dr. Chen.
It's losing all its meaning, and I think that the majority of common folk know that. Like they understand that, like, yeah, it's starting to lose all meaning. Like a fucking gender studies PhD gets called doctor just as much as I would be. That doesn't make it makes no fucking sense. Credentials nowadays have lost like a lot of their power and their meaning, and it's
weightless.
You have to be really, really careful as to like who you're getting your information from. It comes down to this is something that I also try to pervade out there. It comes down to your intuition and your common sense, which not common anymore, but y'all know what I mean. But you listen to it, like listen to if things start like smell like fish, it's probably fish. That kind of thing, like don't think it's don't think it's like a gay duck or something like that. I don't know, but like, yeah, exactly. Stop thinking of zebras either. Like we in medicine, we tend to do zebra hunting where it's just like, oh, we're trying to find the most like fucking rare disease out there because we think our special little patient has it. Whereas it turns out to just be the common cold.
Yeah.
It's just like, what the fuck? Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I mean, yeah, I mean,
I'll
pay
reel us
attention
back
to
in here.
stuff. Yeah.
So
Yes, please take us back.
The reason that I bring this up is that I think that this is something that has become a little bit pervasive in libertarian spaces or very decentralized spaces, where it's you kind of get these points where there are certain people that do get to these choke points effectively, where it's that you are trying to build a decentralized project or you're trying to build a decentralized community, but you get to a point where there will be people that have keys of some sort to whatever it is. And at that point, this is where we kind of get the idea where we joke about how crypto is an investment, a religion, and a sports team all in one, which is that there is no one solution to the world's problems as much as we claim that crypto is, or even how we go about it. But you can't get to these points where you care less about arguments being made and about the merit of things, about how things could be improved. And I mean, to channel some Thomas Sowell here, when it comes to economics, there's no solution, there's only trade-offs. And if you get to the point where you're not listening to reason and you're very enfranchised into your position, which is just trying to maximize your value in something like an investment vehicle, which could be crypto, you get to the point where you will get left behind because you're really just trying to hold on to the thing that you have instead of trying to progress and have a competitive edge in the marketplace. So I think that's what we saw in the book when it came to the argument that Roger Ver was making about how like the civil wars of 14 to 17 came through. And it's like there was the core group of people that were trying to keep the small block mentality, but there were a lot of people saying, hey, this is not true to Satoshi's vision and what he outlined in the white paper. And it even got to the point where the people that were had these positions of power or positions of control were like, maybe we should update that white paper. Maybe we should change it. Maybe we should say it reflects the conditions on the ground as we see fit instead of what Satoshi envisioned back in 2008, 2009. That kind of stuff happened.
Was that a question?
I think it's more of an explanation of where I'm seeing things on the ground right now and what I think really gets laid out in the book. Unless you guys think that I'm taking a reading of this differently, unless the character actually gets killed by a physical bullet at the end of 1984.
Not yet, at least.
I remember that, dude.
Yeah,
that's a good one. I still want to get more people's opinions on that one, by the way.
I mean, it's.
I'm curious how people read that.
That's a different interpretation than I would have guessed. But like, like who am I to say that I know what's going on?
It might have been done on purpose. Yeah, it might have been done on purpose to keep it vague, so that we could continue to talk about the book.
Yep.
Very true. Very true. All right, let me get back.
What else you got for us, Z? While you're pulling that up, I want to give a shout out to Mr. Johnny Chaos who has joined us. Blockbuster is now a verb. Not only that, but he says that he likes the Bad Kid box. It's like a vacation away from everyone else. Shout out to you, Johnny Chaos. Sometimes you just got to be away from the folks that piss you off and bug you and things. And like, I don't disagree. Now, I will say that when there's people that are trying to learn more things and get new information, and your voice is stymied by some disruptive Redditor mods or people on the Bitcoin.org website that say like, oh, your ideas don't line with us, so therefore you get the ban button, then it's like, like people should be open to legitimate feedback and criticism. And sure, there's a scaling problem that comes with it, right? Like there's going to be people that spam, there's going to be people that troll, but like legitimate criticism should not be one of those things that is like thrown into a foxhole and buried away. Right. You should listen to that stuff because that's how you grow as individuals. That's how you grow as blockchains. That's how you grow as organizations, et cetera, et cetera. If you never get feedback and you don't listen, then you're not going to know. And like we've said the same thing about the Richard Hart ecosystem. RH makes it very difficult to get feedback to him. And so like, how is he supposed to know what his community wants, what the people at the market want, blah-de-da-de-da, how is he to know that like there is perhaps a black and white website that he's been using for a very long time that has been charging exorbitant fees to his customers or to the ecosystem's customers and then skimming that off the top and taking it out of this thing that he built, when he's not listening to DMs, he's not listening to notes, et cetera, et cetera. There needs to be a loop of like, I send out a thing and then I receive communication back and then I adjust course as necessary. In the military, we call it the OODA loop. So shout out to all my military members out there. What's your thoughts, Alan?
Well, I mean, in the internet age, it's so easy to increase the noise. I mean, it's exponentially increased, and we have so much noise that it's hard to piece out what's actually constructive feedback and what's not. So that's another piece of that puzzle, is that, you know, it could be just that we're just trying to reduce the noise, as you know, rather than just not accepting feedback as well. Because yeah, there's plenty of, I mean, even the folks at Bitcoin Core, they ran bots, you know, trying to just flood the system with a whole bunch of their noise and saying like, oh, like, you know, this is bad, this is good, or, you know, he's full of shit, he's not full of shit. You know, it's just, it's so much, it's very overwhelming, especially in this day and age, and you have to, yeah, it's definitely a tough world out there to be out there in the public sphere nowadays.
True. It's the world we got, though. And by the way, I do have my final question for you, gentlemen, which is, where do we go from here? So we have forks, we have different narratives, possible scaling paths. I want to ask you guys what you think Bitcoin's future is. Do you think Bitcoin is digital gold? Is it digital cash? Or is it something else entirely?
Well, I mean, I'm using it right now as mainly an investment. I'm not transacting it a whole lot. The only place I'm transacting it is El Salvador, and I'm not even using it in large amounts. It's just like, you know, Lightning wallet. I'm getting coffee, that kind of thing, because I can, because it's part of their culture. So whenever I travel, I try to stick to the culture as much as possible. That's something everybody should be doing. To be a, you know, kind of a part of the team, so to speak. But outside of that, though, like that, I mean, that's, you know, really Bitcoin's role in my whole financial scheme. And just hopefully that something improves, that it can be more useful than that. We'll see. But I'm sort of like on the hold kind of pattern, more so than a buy or sell. And I DCA anyway, so it's, you know, I'm kind of like in the, you know, a toe tap approach with you know, with getting into the streams of Bitcoin, so to speak. Yeah, I mean, it's I'm hoping for the best. I'm trying to be as optimistic as I possibly can, but I understand that this could all get destroyed tomorrow. So that's where I'm at.
Scary to think, but yeah, technically possible.
My
so what do you think?
My answer to this question is, the first thing that you have to do is acceptance. You have to accept what is, because if you live in la la land and fairy tale world of like, oh, this is what it could be, or this is what I want it to be, then, you know, you're not going to be able to maximize your leverage to get the things that you want done. So the first thing you have to do is you accept what Bitcoin is. This is what Bitcoin tried to be and what it used to be. That's what this book is about. This book is a history. This book is a story of like, hey, these are things that went wrong. Here's why. Here's the opposite side of the coin that most people never even understand, because most people's understanding of Bitcoin is the Bitcoin current OGs like Safety to Moose, fucking Peter, what the fuck's his name?
Peter Thiel?
Peter, not Peter Thiel, the guy that does the podcast, the British gentleman. I can't remember. What Bitcoin did podcast. So there's the only thing that you're going to hear in Bitcoin culture today is not the only thing. What you're going to hear most of is the story of like what Bitcoin is. You're not going to hear the what Bitcoin could have been, which is what Roger Ver's story is. It's the flip side of the coin, right? There's two sides to every story, and you operate best when you're given access to both sides of that information, right? In the West, here in America, we're taught about the American version of World War I, of World War II, of Vietnam, of everything else. But you guys should go and check out like what was going on in Germany, what was going on in Austria, what was going on in Vietnam, what was going on in Korea, what was going on in these other countries, and understand and get a better, more well-rounded understanding of everything. See all sides of the coin. See what's going on in China. You know, the United States political and legacy corporate media talk a lot of shit about China all the time. But it's like, what do you actually know about China other than what these people are feeding you? What do you actually know about Bitcoin other than what these people like Michael Saylor, like Peter Thiel, I suppose. You should understand and know everything. You guys should go and read 1984. You should read To Kill a Mockingbird. You should read Mein Kampf. You should understand and get a hold of all of these different forms of literature and put yourself in both perspectives, so that way you can get an idea of everything that's going on, right? I'm never opposed to more information and more knowledge. But the first thing you have to do is you have to accept what is the world as it is today. And like from there you can work backwards and find out all the history of things. So like what are you going to do? You figure out what Bitcoin is, and you incorporate that into your plan for the future and into your plan of action, how you're going to get the things that you need done, and you move forward from there. To the other parts of your question, like is it digital gold, is it cash, is it something else entirely? I would say it's closer to digital gold than it is cash. It's not very good as cash. If I have to wait 10 minutes at the gas station before I get the gasoline out of the pump and into my car, then it's like, that's not very effective, is it? If the Lightning Network like requires on-chain Bitcoin transactions in order for you to use it, or it's all just a bunch of centralized exchanges that are like custodying your coins for you and just giving you access to them, like PayPal or like Venmo or Cash App or whatever the hell, or a bank, then like do you just need folks at home, you guys need to know what this stuff is that's happening and how you can use it to best get the things that you need done. So one, accept what is reality. So right, like I referenced the OODA loop earlier. So the first thing, observe. You take a look at your surroundings. You orient yourself to like, okay, now that I've taken in my surroundings, now I have to adjust myself to the surroundings in order to best make the decision, which is the DOODA. You have to decide and then you have to act. So, right, you observe, you orient, you decide, then you act. You just keep following this process over and over again and stay up to date. Find out what Bitcoin's about, find out what Ethereum's about. Take a look at Bitcoin Cash. Read this book by Roger Ver. Move forward and things like that. What is Bitcoin today? I would say it's closer to digital gold than it is to digital cash. And if you want digital cash, then go to BCH or go to Ethereum or go to Pulse Chain or go to, I don't know, MasterCard and Visa, or PayPal if you want some centralized stuff. Or if you really, really, really want to fuck yourself, then, use a credit card or use a debit card or use an ATM where the bank says like, hey, your money actually doesn't belong to you. You're trying to spend $4,000. Oh, nice try. We're going to block that transaction until you call us up and ask for permission to use your money to go buy that boat or go buy that car or whatever the hell it is. So, that's my 2 cents on where do we go from here. First, find out what's going on, determine how that affects your life, and then take action, and then just keep repeating that cycle over and over again. So, what about you, Zenith? What do you think about Bitcoin? Where do we go from here? And is it digital gold? Is it cash? What's your thoughts, bro?
Before I get to my answer, I do want to break the fourth wall here a little bit because you had a really good point earlier about read as much information as you can and have a discerning eye for it. I was going to say, honestly, one of the reasons I still do book club for as long as we do is because I think that I've been training myself, or I've been trying to, at least whenever we read these books, I try to understand what the author is saying and take it with a critical lens. So that's why I try to come on here and actually try to play a little bit of devil's advocate when it comes to the books and the arguments and stuff. And I'm happy to argue about it and not just be a tool, and not just try to make like WWE entertainment, but because actually like being able to read books, understand what the author's saying, understanding where they're coming from, what may or may not be true and what is agenda. I've been really getting a lot out of that. Anyways, the answer. I personally happen to think that Bitcoin is digital gold, and it only will become more digital gold. I also think that the Bitcoin dev team is begrudgingly going to update it in the future in order to try to stave off the obsolescence as long as they can. I think that there's going to come a point of inevitability where they very begrudgingly will see the writing on the wall. It's like, all right, fine, we'll make some updates. Whether it's we've seen the implementation of the Lightning Network, of the Bitcoin ordinals, that kind of stuff. They've shown that they will implement changes, but they're kind of the last ones to do it. That being said, the other half of this argument for me, I think that Bitcoin is going to become more digital gold because more and more people see it that way. And in particular, I think large institutions are definitely seeing it that way. We're in the ETF cycle, baby. That's what it is. We've seen so much capital coming in, and it's the kind of capital that wants to downside risk and upside maximum potential. So because of that, I think that there's going to be new pressure on the Bitcoin dev team in particular to keep it more of the same, because I think the traditional finance markets want stability. I think they have a toehold of stability when it comes to Bitcoin and the crypto markets, and I think they're going to really fight to keep the little amount of control that they have, I think they're really going to fight for it. When it comes to the crypto cash argument, I think we actually have a potential alternative, which is that we have the Genius Act, which is the stablecoin bill going through Congress right now. I think that a lot of the narrative centered around that piece of legislation in particular is that they want stablecoins to be the crypto cash equivalent, which is it's the easiest for people to wrap their heads around from the general public standpoint, which is that you know that your crypto, your one USD is always going to be equivalent to $1 US. It's the easiest like mental conversion to do, and it's the easiest way to get some of those like federal protections in there when it comes to like FDIC stuff, and also just trying to do good accounting for what stablecoins actually get minted and whether or not they're actually backed by something. Do I personally think that that is the best cash alternative? I don't think so. I think there are better cash alternatives than using stablecoins. But I think that as it stands right now, trying to look into the future, short term and a little bit longer, is Bitcoin is going to remain digital gold. It will only become more digital gold. Stablecoins are trying to be pushed as the cash alternative right now. I don't think they're going to be the greatest for it. I think we're going to have more battles to fight on that one, specifically around central bank digital currencies, aka CBDCs. You got to fight that because the second they get implemented, you lost. It's done and it's over at that point. I think that there are a lot of really, really good projects out there. I don't want to sound too much like a Sonic fanboy because I feel like every time I've been on stream lately, I'm talking about it. But I'll tell you this, as far as the closest thing to swiping a Visa card, I think it's Sonic. Whenever I'm doing transactions over on that network, it is boom, instantaneous. Granted, I will say I have recently understood the limitations because I've been moving, and I literally just got my own personal network set up like an hour before the stream. And before that, when I was operating on the Wi-Fi provided by the landlord, I did not want to transact very much on that network that I did not trust, and B, I actually was restricted and limited from it due to the actual network communications. Like the Wi-Fi was built on it's 5G cell tower Wi-Fi, but it's down in the garage, and I'm up in my office, and I don't have great connectivity, and the place that I'm at right now has pretty terrible cell phone coverage, to be honest. So I couldn't even transact on Sonic for a hot minute there. But thankfully, we have the admin rights. We're back to coax cable, maybe some fiber in the future if we're lucky. But the point is that I think that we're seeing options like that show up. As it stands right now, the landscape that I'm looking at, stablecoins are going to be cash, Bitcoin's going to be gold. People are going to look to the other L1s or the potential blue chips of the future, or ETF potential, or fodder, as I'm going to call it, as good investment vehicles for growth. And I think altcoins and meme coins are definitely going to have their place in there as well, with those very high risk, high reward plays in the future. So that's the landscape that I'm looking at. I think Roger Ver has a very good understanding and of the history of Bitcoin. Like hell, he was there for it. He was involved in a lot of it. So this is a take I really appreciate, because this is the kind of information I've been hungry for a while. This is why I really try to listen when some of those crypto OGs talk. I love listening to Charlie and Miguel because they've been there for a long time. Shoot, I remember I was in Vegas and I even asked Charlie, I asked him, I was like, hey, do you think Ethereum's going to get overtaken by Solana? He told me, like, look, this feels pretty much the exact same way when people were saying that Ethereum was going to overtake Bitcoin. Guess what? It hasn't. Doesn't look like it's going to at any point in the future. So it was classic, nothing new under the sun. Same old, new cycle, same narratives, different coins, that kind of stuff. What do you guys think? Am I off my rocker?
I think that was a good point. That's a good series of points, rather. I forgot a lot of them, but you were fucking flowing, bro. You were good. All right,
soapbox
that's just
over.
That was a function of my memory. But like as you were speaking, it all sounded great. I like it.
Fair enough.
I like it.
Alrighty, tell you what, Will. It is time for 2 final points for the evening. Well, a third if you include our little where do we rank this on the 0 to 10,000 hour mastery scale. But before we get to that, I do want to do it. We got to spin the wheel. We got to
spin the motherfucking wheel. So, ladies and germs, our last winner was Miss Amber Simon. This is the last opportunity you guys have for this podcast to win some free DGen. So, you're gonna win fucking DGen Roundtable stickers if you type #ShrimpTech in the comments. That's all you have to do. You definitively win these stickers if you do that. But you have to send me a DM on Telegram or fucking, I don't know, Facebook or Twitter or whatever the hell. You guys know how to find me. You have to send me a DM of an address to send it to. If you don't send me a DM of an address, then I literally can't get it to you unless I hand it to you in real life. So, if you guys are like these people who have not sent me addresses yet, but I have like, envelopes full of stickers for you guys, then freaking yeah, just send me the stuff. But for those of you that haven't typed in #ShrimpTech, you have the opportunity to get you some free DGen Roundtable stickers, and I will mail you some fancy schmancy other stickers. Here's some examples of them that you guys can't see, right? And I'm doing that on purpose to keep the suspense up. And I've got, I don't know, like 100 or so of these ones, and then like another 250 so of these ones that are DGen Roundtable exclusives. So some fun and fancy stuff that I will send your guys' way if you happen to win the end of this drawing. So let's see. We've got 3 entries, and as soon as I click this draw again button, then the countdown fucking starts. So I've been delaying long enough. You guys have had plenty of time to type in #ShrimpTech. It's time to go. Clicking the draw again. Rolling that drum. Oh,
Hey.
oh shit. Man, I had a spot where I was gonna pick where's the fucking sound drop? God bless America. I had it. Damn it. I had a really good sound drop that I was gonna do. And I can't find it now. It was a 24.
And his name is
John Cena. There we go. Congratulations to you, Mr. Marco. Oh, I found the one that I wanted to play. But we're going to play that one on the next one, the next time that we do this. So congratulations, Mr. Marcus72. You have already sent me your address or your friend's address or someone's address. So good job for you. We're going to go ahead and stop sharing this. And that is the extent of our stuff for tonight. So Mr. Marcus, you get yourself some fantastic ShrimpTech DGen Roundtable stickers. I'm glad to see. Oh man, look at that. We've got people fucking joining us at the last goddamn minute, and you guys missed it. So you know what? What's great is that like I can just keep doing this. ShrimpTech. Yeah. So shout out to you, Mr. Brightlight, and shout out to you, Mr. Moonmut. I love you guys both, and fucking A, I wish that y'all had put your I wish that you had put your entries in, but like not. But
I think they got it in time, but it is unfortunately misspelled.
Yep, yeah, it is unfortunately misspelled for Mr. Moonmut and for Mr. Brightlight. You were ShrimpTech. Mr. Brightlight is spelled correctly, but there was 3 entries. So hey, check it out, guys. Every single time he'll rematch, I promise. Yeah, bro. So check it out. Like I'm just gonna keep giving away stickers. So you just come to the next stream or the stream after or the stream after or the stream after, and you'll get some fucking stickers. So shout out to you, Mr. Moonmut and Mr. Brightlight. You guys got to type in #ShrimpTech correctly. But if you guys DM me on Telegram or Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, whatever the hell, if you DM me an address, then I will send you these fucking stickers. Right? You get 1 sticker just for putting in the hashtag. But if you guys win the drawing, then you get some magical special stickers that are over here. Or maybe even perhaps these ones, or maybe even perhaps these ones, or maybe even perhaps one of these ones, right? I'm going to send somebody some motherfucking stickers. So today, it's Mr. Marcus72, and also, who's the other one? Miss Amber Simon. So congratulations to Amber Simon and Mr. Marcus72. You guys win today's round of sticker giveaways, but we're just going to keep giving away stickers because look at how many fucking stickers I've got to give away, guys. So like we've got a shit ton
of
these DGen Roundtable stickers. So like this isn't the last time. All you got to do is show up during live stream and type in #ShrimpTech because that was the fucking word that I decided was funny.
What's this? Yeah, what's the significance of ShrimpTech?
ShrimpTech. So there's a couple memes that go around with shrimp technology. One is that like on 4chan in the business forum, everyone was talking about how you could make millions and millions of dollars by farming shrimp inside your house, and like a whole bunch of people did it and realized that it was all a fucking meme, that you can't actually just sell fucking shrimp to restaurants. So it was really funny. Because like a whole bunch of people did it, and also like there's a band that I really like called the Viagra Boys, and they talk about shrimp all the time, but that's because it has to do with drug usage and shrimping and things. So I'm not going to go into that spiel, but I think it's really funny because like in a lot of their songs they just sing about shrimps, and I think that it's really funny. And I happen to love shrimp as a Pacific Northwesterner myself. So shout out to shrimps, shout out to ShrimpTech, Viagra Boys. The kids on the 4chan business channel. So I love you all. And shout out to everyone in the comments, all of us here putting these comments in, roundabouts the 2-hour mark of the stream. So every single.
Yeah,
fucking
we're
stream
glad
that
I
I'm
showed
on.
up.
Yeah, I'm glad that you showed up, and it's too bad that you put in the hashtag after I'd already done the draw, but I'm just gonna keep doing it. So if you keep showing up and keep putting in the hashtag, like odds are you're gonna get you some free DGen Roundtable. Well, so first off, you do get a free DGen Roundtable sticker if you send me an address, right? And if you don't send me an address, then I don't know what the fuck to do, bro. I can hand it to you in real life if I find you, but shout out to all you guys out there that are looking for stickers and doing the engagement thing. I just figured this was a fun way for me to get some stickers out there in the real world and things of that nature. So,
For true.
shout
out to everybody that made it into the chat tonight, by the way. Y'all are awesome. Brightlight, Fast Abdul, Johnny Chaos, Arceus, Moonmutt, and our big winner, Amber Simon. But by the way, folks, if you are interested in some technical analysis, go check out Brightlight Crypto. The guy has been absolutely grinding lately, posts a lot of videos. I want to say he goes live 9 or 10 p.m. on Wednesdays, directly after the Whiskey Wednesday that we do here. Good dude, has shown up for a few of those. If you like technical analysis, check him out.
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
Shout out to Brightlight. Zenith, take us away.
Gentlemen, we are here for the final. Let us know where the folks can find you at home, what you got going on. But more importantly, on the scale of mastery for 0 to 10,000 hours as a crypto investor, where do you put this book? Dr. Alan Chen, take us away, please.
All right. So 1 year is what? 3,000? Is that right? 2,000 hours?
2,000.
2,000. Okay. So we want. With the book, I mean, I would probably go 3,000. You have to have some sort of. You didn't know what the hell you're talking about with crypto, just the basics of it, and then maybe transact it a little bit and see how it works in real life to be able to understand like this book now, because otherwise you may not get the parallels with how human psychology works in it. And I guess like the book does do a decent job of like explaining some of those basic details. It actually helped me remind myself of what the heck a block and a node is, because I kind of forgot about it. So it did a decent job with that, but I still think like just kind of understanding like how it plays a role in economics and also plays a role in your financial strategy. That takes a little bit more introspection, deeper than just basic knowledge. So I mean, I would say 3,000 for this book. Yeah. Oh, and people when they can find me. Oh yeah, Your Health Unplugged on YouTube. I talk a lot about health, and a lot of these principles, unfortunately, the things that we talked about do leak into the health sphere in different ways, for sure. So those are the things that I try to kind of point out. And now that we talked about that dog sexuality article, I may do that on my channel to see just to demonstrate like how awful, like basically what bad literature looks like, what bad science looks like. If I could point it out, let's see how much I can point out, and just to like, oh, this is not right. Like this looks like total bullshit. So yeah, how you can decipher bullshit in medical journals. That's part of one of my goals, my objectives in my channel as well. I'm on Twitter also at unplugged_doc. I talk about a lot of things that I'm thinking about, especially in politics, and not just in health. But yeah, I'm pretty much all over the place. Instagram as well at unplugged.md. TikTok's doing pretty well actually, despite being, my grievances against China, at unplugged_doc, and that's probably enough for right now. But we have some episodes coming out soon. I did all that influencer stuff on Monday, so that all that stuff's going to come out. I basically do all my stuff in chunks, and then it sort of gets released slowly over time. It drives my editors nuts because they have like a whole batch of work to do in like a short period of time, and then I have nothing to do in the next part of time. So like it kind of frustrates them a little bit. So I apologize. Shout out to my editors, to do great work for me. But yeah, that's kind of how I roll. I just like to fucking get it all done in one shot, and then be able to like reframe it or regroup and then do the next batch. Like that's how I do things. But anyway, yeah, that's it for me.
Love it. Mr. Will Stevenson, where could the folks find you? What do you got going on? And where on the mastery scale is this book?
So I would say that this book lies around, it's specifically in the cryptocurrency sphere. It probably lies around our 1 to 500 is where I would put it, because like you have to have a pretty good idea of what Bitcoin is before you start delving into like what Bitcoin could have been. So 1 to 500 hours in the crypto sphere. And you know, if you're an OG crypto person, then like, hey, freaking like read the damn book, because it opens your eyes up to like some of the things you might not know you didn't know. So there we go. I would say so between 1 to 500 hours of doing stuff. I might even bump it up to 1,000 hours, something in there, because like you need to understand the intricacies of Bitcoin. So I'm gonna change my answer to 500 to 1,000 hours. So anywhere between a quarter of a year to a half a year of being in the space and like really just diving deep into it. That's what would get you the best results. As far as where can the folks find me, if you guys typed in hashtag shrimp tech, doesn't matter if you won or not, send a DM to me at t.me/Will Stevenson, capital W and S, right? That will take you to my Telegram channel, or not my Telegram channel, my personal DMs on Telegram. And if you start a conversation with me and be like, hey, like I have a list of all the people that have typed in hashtag shrimp tech. I've started a new like notes thing in my own little personal notes keeping thing. So if you guys are on that list and then you DM me and you tell me like, hey, this is a place where I can ship it to you, then congratulations, I can get you some stickers. Or if you're a person that I know in real life, then I'll probably fucking hand deliver them to you, you know, because I care about you and love you all so much. If I don't know who you are, I still love you. I just don't know where to find you and to give you stickers. So if we meet up at an IRL event, or if we meet up at a you know, whatever the hell cryptocurrency thing where we're all celebrating because we won billions and trillions and zillions of dollars, then cool beans. But for the rest of you guys can find me at t.me/Will Stevenson. That's my Telegram. If you want to find all of my other social media stuff, then it's just will.pls.fyi. If you want to stalk me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or fucking whatever the hell, then that's where you can get all of my other things. But will.pls.fyi takes you to everything that is me. And as far as things that I'm doing in the near future, I'm just doing nothing but working building towers every day. 12 hours a day, out there stacking steel, dragging cables around in the dirt, hanging out, getting high, just up in the air, fucking putting bolts in holes and slamming them in there and hitting them with sledgehammers and shit. Like, life is good, man. I'm back in my fucking zone, dude. So I'm like pumped. I'm getting to do cool shit every day. It's been about 2 years since I've last stacked a tower, and probably about 9 months since I've last like gone up into the sky to do some real work. So this is really cool and exciting for me, and it's happening 500 meters away from where I live. So super fucking awesome, super stoked to get into it, and I'm making boatloads of money because like we're putting in 80 hours a week. So it's like life is good, man. Actually, no, excuse me, 84 hours a week, because we're doing 12-hour days, 7 days a week. So nothing but work over here in this neck of the woods. So if I show up to stream dirty and grimy and shit, then just know that I'm out there fucking stacking steel so that you guys in the Dallas-Fort Worth area can get your FM radio all squared away. That's all that I've got going on in the near future. For the folks at home who this is your first time watching the DJ Roundtable, we stream every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. No matter what part of the world you're in, that's the time that we stream. Wednesdays, we talk to guests. Fridays, we do book club. And then Sundays, we cover news. And again, we stream live at 8 p.m. Eastern, youtube.com/@DGen Roundtable. That's where you guys can find us. Also on X, too. I think that we're streaming on X as well. And thank you, Alan, for dual casting the stream. And that's all that I've got to say. Mr. Zenith, why don't you take us away, bro? What are your thoughts on the book For a Scale of Mastery, and where can the folks find you, and what have you got going on in the near future?
I think that this book is a very niche book, but I think it's a lot of really good information. It's a good history of Bitcoin and kind of like the internal conflicts and politics that have gone on with it. I think it's something it's kind of hard to find, honestly, but I really appreciate it, especially at the point that I'm at my crypto journey. I think I'm going to agree with Dr. Chen on this one and say that I think this is actually, I might even up it a little bit. I think this is probably closer to a 4,000 hour book, which is, this is a book with a lot of nuance in it. There are very interesting details that he talks about, especially around the history of the community and how that's developed over time. And I think that's something you're really only going to understand once you've been in it for a hot minute. So I'm putting it at 4,000 hours. There's good fundamentals, but at the same time, if you are in the first 500 hours, I think you're going to be pretty lost with this book. You might get some technical information about how Bitcoin works and whatnot, but as far as understanding like Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin Satoshi Vision and all that stuff, even where I'm at in my crypto journey right now, like it's really not that applicable to me. It's an interesting thing from the idealistic standpoint of like, I wish I could operate in Bitcoin Cash. I wish that this stuff transacted like this. But as Will, you mentioned earlier, we have to operate in reality, or what is the condition on the ground as it stands. I can wish that Bitcoin was this thing as much as I want. It's not going to change it. So there you go. 4,000 hours for me. It's a good book. It's a very niche book. It's really going to just scratch that itch for all you crypto nerds out there that have been wanting to do a little more deep dive, for the folks that have probably gotten in like the last 5-6 years. Anytime sooner than that, like this is kind of like the lost history of Bitcoin and whatnot, because these are the people that were there. They were arguing about it. They have it documented. Good book. Thank you, Roger Ver, for writing it. I really appreciate it. And by the way, it's only 8 hours on Audible. And I did this book at 2.5 times speed. And even then, it was actually pretty decent and digestible for me. Granted, I'm a weirdo and I do that now, so take that with a grain of salt. But that's what I got to say about that. Other than that, folks.
Oh, sorry.
Hit me.
I mean, if you're going into the 100 hours thing, like if you may not be able to digest it as quickly. Also, like you may have to go through that a lot slower. Yeah.
Train your brain, break it. Watch all your YouTube videos at minimum 1.5 times speed.
I've got one quick little point to add in there, Zenith, and this is something that was brought to my attention to Mrs. Producer. Shout out to Mrs. Baguette of the DGen Roundtable team, but she actually let me know that you can get this book for free on YouTube. So for those of you that are not already in the DGen Roundtable book club, go ahead and hop on in there. This is book number 62 of our DGen Roundtable book club series. So I'm going to go ahead and post the YouTube link in there where you guys can watch or listen to this book for free. Hijacking Bitcoin audiobook by Roger Ver. It is free on YouTube. You don't have to pay anything for it. So like it's good information and it's right out there available for everyone. So that's all I wanted to say.
There you go. Love it. And I guess this is the part where I do let everyone know I am taking a bit of a vacation here over the next few weeks. Your boy's going to be going to Italy, but I'll be trying to send some periodic videos that maybe Will can play on the shows while I'm away. But yeah, that's what I got over the next few weeks. Will's taken, if you want to run book club, the mantle is yours, sir.
Yes.
Do what you want. Try not to burn it down too much.
On that note, I suppose I should announce what we're doing for next week's book club, and it actually has nothing to do with books. I'm going to be walking you guys through an introduction to either pistol or rifle marksmanship. So we're going to be running through some Marine Corps slides on how to do shooting starting from 0 and going into 1. So we're gonna be doing this like I like teaching people marksmanship. So that's what we're gonna be doing on book club. Instead of reading books, we're gonna be learning how to shoot. So bear with me as I bust out the old Marine Corps slides and stuff, and we're gonna be going through that as a group here, and I'm gonna teach you guys how to be a marksman in either pistol or rifle, depending on what I feel like doing. So that's what's coming up in the pipeline for you guys on DGen Roundtable Book Club for the next few weeks while Zenith is gone.
Love it. Yeah. Outside of that, though, folks, catch me on Instagram and X over at Zenith DI. That is where I do a lot of reposts. So I've seen a lot of good stuff coming across my desk the last few days, so I've been trying to stay a little more active over there. Outside of that, though, yes, folks, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, right here, DGen Roundtable. You know what it is. But outside of that, Mr. Producer, please get that trigger finger ready when you can, because it is that time of the show where we want to thank you for spending your time here with us, because we know that time is your most valuable asset, and we want to thank you for it every time you spend it here with us. So thank you very much. Happy Friday to everybody. Hope you're enjoying a good month of June. I believe the next federal holiday coming up is Juneteenth. So if you're one of the lucky people that gets that day off, congratulations. You're lucky. I am not, but that's neither here nor there. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you guys on Sunday. And until then, I hope that everyone out there continues to degen responsibly.
Oh shit, wrong fucking button. God damn it. Why is it doing this?